Hey guys, the Explorer 4 here, Horrorboy 465, aka Nate Murphy. Welcome back to some more reviews. And today, joined by the one, the only John Grande.
PPP, Pajama Pants Player. How y'all doing?
So I'm joined by John today. John, it's good having you back in another stream, man. Thanks for joining me on this discussion about two of some of my favorite horror films out there. And to most horror fans, we're probably like talking blasphemy because this is like two movies that are absolutely hated, and we're actually getting we already got three viewers, so let's welcome guys to the stream.
Three
But
viewers.
it's pretty good for usually when we start off. I only get one, but right now we got like two or three watching. So hello to y'all watching out there. But today, me and John are going to be talking about two of the most hated movies in horror film history. They are movies that, for one reason or another, have been completely just utterly attacked by horror fans. And I kind of wanted to get John in here to talk about maybe a little bit about the reasoning and maybe a little bit about what the fans are necessarily so mad about, and then kind of get into our reasons of why we like these movies. So the movies we're talking about today are Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, which I actually have a T-shirt right here. Just bought it today. So, well, I bought it a long time ago, but I got it today. So representing Part 5. But
Hell
Part
yeah.
5, New Beginning, got that to talk about, and also the very hated Halloween 3. Now, I wanted to see what John's thoughts are on these movies before we get into it, and then I'll kind of give my quick little thoughts. I've done reviews on them, so I've done really in-depth stuff. But John, if you want to give your thoughts on Halloween 3 and Friday the 13th Part 5, you can definitely do that.
Sure thing, brother. And thank you for having me as well. I'm very much appreciated. Okay, so Halloween 3 is a movie that I kind of stumbled upon later in the franchise. Like I did not watch them sequentially.
Uh-huh.
I remember going to the video store and asking the guy working there, where's Halloween 3? I didn't even see it on the rack. And he went, well, that movie's a piece of trash. It's probably,
Oh,
in the back somewhere. And I was like, really? I was like,
oh
how come?
goodness.
I said, where do they pick up from the hospital in Halloween 2? And they said, well, it's not really a Michael Myers movie. Michael Myers isn't in it. It's called Halloween 3. It was very confusing for somebody of my young age to understand. But I finally got my hands on the movie. I begged and pleaded. I said, it's one of the series. I have to see it, that kind of thing. So I sat down, I watched it, and I really, really enjoyed the movie, even from the first time I saw it. I wasn't mad that Michael was not in the film, which is like you were saying, that's the reason people hate it. But I always thought it was a really good little movie. I mean, we can get more into it when we start talking about it. But you and I both know the main reason is because of the name. That's why it's
Oh yeah.
hated. And as for part 5 of Friday the 13th, that's a movie that people hate the ending of. But the thing is, it's a perfect slasher up until that ending. And
Absolutely.
people don't want to like people don't want to accept that. I mean, it has boobs, it has blood, it has mayhem. Those are the three things that make up a great slasher film. You have those great Debbie Sue Voorhees titties.
Oh my
You have
goodness.
amazing kills in this movie, amazing kills, flare in the mouth, axe to the back of the head,
Hmm.
pitchfork through the stomach, an axing of somebody who I guess was kind of annoying in the Joey
Yeah.
character. That's possibly my favorite kill in the entire movie, just because it's so fucking nuts. Um,
Yeah. The
why'd they let
character
that guy
itself is just
handle an
great.
axe?
Yeah, I will admit that the plot's not perfect, but come on, we're talking about Friday the 13th here. I mean, are we really
Yeah,
expecting a perfect plot?
you're talking about a slasher movie. You're talking about a movie that previously, okay, you can look at the two movies that this is between, right? The previous movie had awesome naked twins and Crispin Glover dancing like a buffoon. And the following movie has a resurrection via lightning striking a pole that pierced Jason's body, and then a James Bond killer intro. If this movie is too crazy for you, then none of them are going to be your cup of tea. That's just how I feel about it.
Absolutely.
I think people that
Totally
think
agree.
this whole thing about Roy being the killer is a bad choice, they're ignorant. That's just the way I feel about it. And I understand, yeah, can you feel cheated? Absolutely. But there's no reason to hate upon this movie because it has all the slasher elements in it, and it works because of that. And I love this movie. I love both of these movies, really. But yeah, let's dive into one of these. Which one do you want to talk about first?
Alrighty, well, we'll talk about Friday the 13th Part 5 first, just kind of get into that. That one's a little bit, like you said, that one's a little bit more, I guess, of the maybe lesser hated movie. It's still a hated movie, but maybe a little bit lesser than Halloween 3 because people tend to have a little bit more problems with Halloween 3. But Friday the 13th Part 5. Let's talk about this movie. It was way back in the day. I was watching on AMC back when they had, I don't know if I think they still have it, the Fear Fest. And
I love that.
Yeah, I love Fear Fest. That's how I watched
Romero hosted it one year, right?
Yeah, that's the one I seen. That's the one I watched. Was
okay,
the Romero one. And they had like the Halloween movies and Chucky. So I was watching those, and I was watching Friday the 13th, and it was the ending of Part 4. So I kind of got a spoiler for that because I never really seen Part 4 at that point. I seen like the first through the third, and that was it. So kind of a spoiler for me, but I was so young that I really didn't pay attention to it. I remember I watched Part 5 and thinking that it was such a good movie. Like I was so into it. And then the ending, I will admit, at that time was a little confusing. I was like, wait, I thought Jason was a little bit more disfigured than that. I was like, why does this guy have a bald cap on and stuff like that? And then like years later, I discovered the movie again. And I watched the entire franchise in a one big watch. And I started really like voicing my, love for Part 5. Part 5 is a movie that, if it's not my favorite, it's my second favorite. But for right now, it's my favorite. And a lot of people would go like, "What? Part 6 is awesome." They said that even going to Part 8 and 7 is better than going for Part 5. And I was always wondering like, why? Like, well, because that's not a Jason movie. I'm like, well, technically, if you want to get technical, the first movie isn't a Jason movie. The first movie had Mrs. Voorhees in it. Jason is only in memories and flashbacks. Same with Part 5. So I'm like, if you say that, then what about the first movie? That one didn't have Jason in it, but everybody loves that movie. I do too. But with Part 5, I think it's the most like campiest of the Friday the 13th movies, if I can say that. I could say Part 6 is as well, but and definitely Part 4. But it's just got some things in it that I really like that no other Jason movie has done. I feel like it has the best kills, the most creative kills. I'm one of the very few people out there that actually like the Roy storyline. Most people just say, well, I don't hate the movie, I just hate the Roy storyline. I'm like, it's not perfect. I mean, you look at it, sometimes it don't make sense, especially when you think he murdered everybody but the guy who killed his son. So that part that part is a little ironic to look at, and I can kind of understand people come from with that. But I like the idea. I like the idea of the kind of being a throwback to the old Mrs. Voorhees storyline. And I thought that for being a imposter Jason, I thought Roy did a really good job of making you believe it was Jason. And by the end of the movie, you're kind of wondering what's going on anyways, because you're like, okay, Tommy's seeing these weird hallucinations, and then Jason's wearing the regular mask in those, and then he's wearing a blue mask, and you're wondering, like, why does he look so different? So I think, like, to be upset about that, the fact that Roy was Jason, or the imposter Jason, I think it's just a little bit ridiculous because it's got everything else you could want. I think it has one of the best atmospheres. I think it has a great couple of leads. I used to really like the Pam lead, but she's kind of, I don't know. I've watched the movie a lot, recently, and I would say that I like Reggie and Tommy. I think Pam is definitely hot, but I don't know about her acting. People always said the girl from Part 4 was better. I'm like, kind of can't argue with that because she was, really hot and she could act. But Pam is definitely hot, but she's like nothing compared to the what's her name, the Voorhees lady with the big boobs.
Debbie Sue Voorhees.
Yeah, the Muka melons on her are just like, oh man. But so it has like you said, it has nudity, it has the gory death scenes, it has one of the biggest and like fastest body counts you could watch in a Jason movie. I think it has, which shocked me. People said that it's a censored movie. When really you think about it, maybe it's because I've seen Part 8 and Part 7, and those are a lot more censored than Part 5. I don't really see the censored part besides the quote unquote porn scene that was supposed to be in the movie, and also the X-rated death scene. Those are probably the only ones I could see. Like, yeah, those are censored. But like kill scenes in general, I think there's some brutal kills in there. The death scene where he wraps the belt around the guy's head and cranks it until it cracks. Like, yeah, like that's one of the most brutal Jason kills in like some of the older movies in the franchise. And like the shears and the meat cleaver, like all these different weapons he uses, and I feel like it's a very bloody and gory Jason movie. I think it's like more gorier than like Part 2 and 3, even to a degree. Sometimes Part 4. Besides that, if you really look at it, Part 4's goriest part was that ending, which was really gory. But you know, I think it's a very hated movie, and there's a lot of reasons for it. But I can't help but love the movie. It's always been my favorite. And it's a movie that I've always gotten like people saying like, "Oh, you're nuts, you're crazy. How can you like that?" I take Jason. People have really told me they take Jason X over that, and I like Jason X. I really do. Kane Hodder is good in it. I used to hate the movie, but I think it's pretty fun. But I prefer Part 5 a little bit more. But I don't know. I keep on blabbering on about it because it's always been something I want to talk about. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Part 5. Sorry about that, John. You can give your thoughts on it if you want.
Hey, no problem. Passion breeds passion, man. I think these people. So getting into the people that dislike the film, I think what number one thing they don't realize that there are a lot of fun characters in this movie. Reggie the Reckless is one of my favorite characters in the franchise. I named my freaking first car Reggie the Reckless.
Oh my goodness!
Character. Yeah, that's a true story. And his brother Demon is one of the funniest characters in horror film history.
Oh hell yeah!
The whole you want a pizza, cheese and sausage, and this is my friend Pam. What's up, Pam? Like, I love Demon, man. He's in the movie for
damn enchiladas.
It's them damn enchiladas. And the run to the freaking porta potty. I mean, that is rewindable. I mean, you'll just laugh at that every time. You could watch it 10 times in a row and still laugh. I mean, it's brilliant stuff. And of course, the classic, ooh, baby. Hey, baby. Ooh, baby. I mean, that is some funny shit. Like,
yeah, dude,
you're going to get it, bitch. You're going to get it, bitch. And then, of course, he ends up getting it through his leg. Big old spear. I mean, that's just fantastically done. And there's so many fun, like the Joey character is perfect. Friday 13th character. There's that stuttering kid who wants to get laid. Not making fun of anybody who stutters or anything, but man, it is really funny character.
Yeah.
Like he's like, do you want to go upstairs? And she just laughs in his face, and it's just like, you're like, holy shit, man, like that's fucked up. That classic song and that scene where Violet is doing that funky 80s dance.
Oh yeah.
That song, His Eyes, I love that. And Roy walks in the room, and there's that great anticipation up until you get the stab. And man, it's just so well done. I mean, Danny Steinman, the director of this film, had also made a film called Savage Streets with Linda Blair. It's like a rape revenge movie. He was a really good director. He understands exploitation, he understands slasher, and he understands how to make your film entertaining. That's what these people don't understand. Anybody that ranks Friday the 13th Part 5 at the bottom does not understand the formula of a slasher. I feel like they're puppets, really. Like you follow what other people tell you. Oh, it doesn't have Jason in it, so it's automatically bad. That's not the truth, and that's not the truth for Halloween 3. It doesn't have Michael in it. It doesn't make it a bad film. You have to watch the film for what it is. And this film, for what it is, it's a lot of fun. Like I said, a lot of nudity, has a lot of blood and gore, has some awesome freaking kills. And man, I just think it's one of the best. I think it's a perfect slasher movie. I think it's in the conversation for best slasher movie of all time. And I say that with all sincerity, because it has every single element a good slasher should have. It's funny, it's fun, it's sleazy. Every good slasher needs some sleaze. It's
Yeah.
bloody and it's entertaining every time you watch it. Of course, and we can't forget Ethel and Junior, possibly the best characters in the movie.
Oh yeah, such a great character, man. Like I don't even think there's any other character who's ever been even remotely similar to her in this series. Like she's the only character that's that over the top, but man, it's like done so well.
I
And
know.
Junior is freaking hilarious, man.
Dude, I love that bum shows up at their door. Who the fuck are you? What the fuck do you want? I'd like a meal, ma'am. I haven't eaten in a few days. All right, go clean all the shit out of the pigeon coop, and then I'll fill your stuff. Like that is funny, man.
Eat
Like
your slop.
yeah, like oh my god, like every time you see that, you just belly roll. Like it's so funny, man. I love. Would you shut the fuck up, you big dildo? Like you tell him, ma. Like that, because those characters are real. Those are real inbred, husband and wife that live in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like it's so genuine. It is over the top, but at the same time, they are genuine. They feel realistic, and it's gritty, but it works. I really like those two characters. I have no faults with this movie. I think I've seen it to death. That may be my one fault because I love it so much. I mean, I have seen this movie to death, but I think it takes the cake, man. I think it's one of the best slasher movies of all time, and probably my favorite or my second favorite of the series as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I absolutely agree, man. It's like a movie that probably is one of the Jason movies I watch the most. I mean, there's been a couple of movies that I watch a little bit more, but I watch Part 5 probably, if not the second most, like probably honestly the first most. I mean, I don't know. It depends on which one. It depends on what mood I'm in when I'm watching the franchise. But Part 5, man, like there's a lot of creative stuff in this movie. There's a lot of different stuff. I think that's also the thing is that you look at this movie, it's a very different movie than the first four movies. The first four movies are much more like a serious kind of similar formula type movies. The first three movies are definitely like that. Fourth one kind of add a little different stuff to it. But you look at Part 5, man, and I think also people have mentioned this is a very good point that Part 5 falls in between Part 4 and 6, which are some of the most popular Friday the 13th movies in the series. So you kind of get stuck in that gap. And then there's also the fact that Jason's not in this one. So a lot of people tend to get a bad taste about it. And, I've been told for years why people don't like it and why I should rant on it. There have been people telling me, oh, you can rant on this and that, and, you won't rant on Part 5. I'm like, no, man, that's what you rant about. What would I be mad about? I'm not even mad about the fact that Roy's Jason. I love Roy as a character. There wasn't much about him, but I love the idea of a crazed paramedic dressing up like Jason. And there's actually a really good theory about Roy that, it sounds ridiculous, but maybe that Roy could be Jason's father, which adds a little bit more to the character, adds a little bit more to his motivation, picking Jason's particular killing and stuff like that.
Brother.
Well, I think what happened was he said, because in the movie they said that Joey's mom was maybe a different mother because she died at birth. So Joey was a different baby from a different, mother. But
that's even better. You can make stepbrothers too with Joey and Jason.
Absolutely, man. It'd be the comedy hit of the year. Jason be the silent Bob of the.
You have John C. Reilly play Joey and Will Ferrell play Jason.
Yeah, it's the perfect match. But they had it where, because in the game there's takes of Mrs. Voorhees, and she said that, and she was raped, and that's how Jason was born. And she said she kept mentioning that she doesn't remember anything about the guy who raped her, but she said she remembers his eyes. That's the thing she remembered the most was his eyes. And there's always a focus on Roy's eyes in Part 5, and there's a lot of evidence pointing towards it. And she said he was a middle-aged man, and Roy's a middle-aged kind of man, and it all lines up. And it kind of, if you really do get into the conspiracy, I guess, theory, it really does add an extra layer to that character. Granted, an unofficial layer, but it still adds to it. But yeah, I mean, Part 5 is perfect. Sorry.
I agree. No worries. here's a question, because I think I know the answer, and I think you'll probably agree with my opinion on this as well. If you had to pick one, which one you like better, would you pick 5 or would you pick 6? Because I'd pick 5.
I honestly picked five as well. I
So would
watch it
I.
a whole lot more.
And it's mind blowing to me that 6 is so popular, because 6 is where it all changed. Tom McLaughlin brought that gothic comedic push to it, and I totally think that was the part that was where it started to go downhill for me. To me,
Mm.
of the Paramount 8, 6 is my least favorite. I
Oh
really,
wow.
yeah, it's the truth. I mean, I really enjoy 7, and I even think 8 is fun. Like 8 has a cheesy 80s charm to it. 6 is my least favorite of the Paramount 8. Granted, I mean, it's better than Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X, and it's better than those movies. But to me, it's too self-aware. It's comedic. It's like, oh, we know what we're doing. Laugh along with us. Whereas Ethel and Junior were just funny. Like, it wasn't like, oh, they're trying to be over the top. Look at them. No, it was just they were over the top. It was a fact. Whereas part 6, I feel like it's very forced, and it's the birth of zombie Jason, and it's just I feel like they went completely away from that original direction. The first 5 movies in tone feel very similar, the
Hmm.
stalk and slash style. Part 6 is like an action slasher movie with those gothic comedic elements, and I really don't think it works. It's really one of my least favorites of the series. And like I said, least favorite of the Paramount 8. I don't know how you feel about that, but yeah, I think 6 is pretty overrated, to be honest with you.
I was gonna say I actually really enjoy part 6. Um, I I think that for the longest time though I did kind of have a beef with it because it was like every argument. It was either I had a beef with that or I kind of had a beef with part 4 because everybody would bring up, oh, part 4 is the best because Tom Savini effects are the best and Tom Savini and they bring up the director, which is Joseph Zito, and they would bring up that and they'd say, oh yeah, all that stuff outclasses part 5, and they said, well, part 6 is also better because we get these different stuff that was actually good. I'm like, dude, I like both movies. I love them both to death. I really do. Part 6 has kind of, I used to say that I absolutely loved it. Honestly, I would say it's a pretty good movie, but it is a bit overrated because of the fact that people used it so much to defend it against like part 5. And I was like, dude, it's good, but I feel like out of the original kind of tone and like you said, stock and slash elements of the first 5 movies. I think part 5, is miles better than part 6. But I do like part 6 for certain reasons. I think it's a fun movie, but I can definitely see where you're coming from with that. It's a different movie. It's different tone, different everything with part 6. So um, I do agree with you on some stuff there, definitely, and a
Yes.
little bit of part 4. I don't really hate part 4. I just people have always used those 2 movies. They've always just used those 2 movies, and I love them to death. But that's just always what they would use against me when I'd say I love part 5. So
Very true. Very true. I'm one of those people that, like, I really liked the original. Like, the first 5 are my favorite. I don't think there's a Jason movie since part 5 that is as good as the other 5.
that's a
So
very good point. I have to agree with that.
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things that it's tough, but I mean, I really like that original style. I hated when they kind of turned that leaf. I like part 7. I like part 8. And I do like part 6. Not a horrible movie by any means. I think it's where they finally turned downward. Like, it's the start of the end, because then when you get to Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X are terrible in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely agree with you because really, if you look at it, part 6 kind of started everything up to lead to the downhill, like part 7 and 8. I think as you watch along, like there's every sequel after part 6 kind of had their own kind of problems, and some of them I do agree with. Like you look at part 9 and 8 and 7, those movies gets a lot of flack, and part 10 and the remake. Those pretty much all movies after part 6 got flack, except for like maybe part 7. That one's been one that I've heard a lot of positive things about. But that's another Jason movie that I've always felt was a little overrated because, like, yeah, it has the awesome look for Jason, and it has the interesting idea of Carrie versus Jason, but does it really have anything else to it? Like, it doesn't have the gore. It doesn't really have too much nudity, but I'll get into that later.
Well,
But
that movie also, in its defense, was raped by the MPAA.
yeah, it was.
And
It
it's
absolutely
really a
was.
shame because I've seen some of those, like some. If you have the Crystal Lake Memories documentary, they show that scene where they kill her doctor. Like he kills him with like I don't know if it's kind of a chainsaw thing. Like I don't know what you'd call it, but you do see guts, gore. I mean, it's one of the most amazing shots. Actually, I wanted to show you this really quick. I'm getting it up on my phone. In a couple weekends, they are having a double feature. I'll hold this by the camera. I don't know how well you can you see that?
Yeah.
They're showing part 6 and part 7, 35 millimeter back to back. Friday 13th, July 13th, obviously. So I thought that was really, really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome, man.
Yeah,
You
I
didn't
know.
really. I wish.
Go
How do
ahead.
you? I was going to ask you this. How do you? How are you able to go see those kind of movies? Because I don't have a theater around here that does stuff like that. I really don't.
Well, it's not a special theater. If anything, it's like an old school theater. It's not no reclining seats or anything like that. They have this. I don't know them personally, but they're a couple and they are huge horror fans. And I don't know how they do this, but they're able to get their hands on 35 millimeter prints of insane movies. Like I went last month. The double feature was the original the original Carrie, followed by the original Friday 13th, 35 millimeter print. The Friday 13th print they had, it's the only one in the United States. It's the only 35 millimeter print in the United States. How it found where I live is unbelievable to me. But it was fucking awesome. Like it was one of the coolest movie experiences ever. And they do in August, they do this all night pay to get out horror movie thing. Here, I'll show you this one too. They have 7 movies back to back. 35 millimeter. Dude. Yeah, I know. Yeah, so if people can't see, I think people can see pretty well. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, Hellraiser, Creepshow 2, which is the one I'm totally looking forward to the most.
Oh, yeah.
Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, House, Blood Feast, and The Stuff. I mean, I am so excited. This is an all-night thing. It starts at 10 p.m. and it doesn't end until about 8 o'clock in the next morning. If you stay the entire night, you get your money back and free breakfast.
Dude, that is freaking insanely awesome. I'd do that. Heck, freaking yeah, I'd do that.
Stay all freaking night. Because you get your money back if you stay. And free breakfast.
Dude, that is badass. That's so cool, man. That is awesome.
7 35 millimeter films. I mean, it's fucking insane. Like, I'm so excited to go. I might skip the part 6, part 7 double feature because I don't know if I'll have anybody to go with me that night, but we'll see. So, okay. So before we move on to Halloween 3, I got 2 things. I'm going to have to go get my charger after we do this, but rank the Paramount 8 for me, because once you rank the whole series, it's hard because Jason Goes to Hell and Jason X are just so shitty, in my opinion. Granted, I know you were saying positive things about Jason X. There are some people that seem to really like that movie. I don't know why.
I don't love it. I think it's if you watch it and you look at it, it's a very dumb movie. But if you just sit down and turn your brain off, it's kind of like, okay, it's funny.
Yeah,
it's got
I'm sure it is. Okay, so rank the Paramount 8 for me. I'll rank it, and then I got to grab my charger because this thing is dying.
Already. Well, if we're going from worst to best, my least favorite one would probably be out of the Paramount ones. Would honestly be part 8. Not a big fan of that makes one. Sense. I'm sorry.
That's okay, dude. No, part 8's bad. I just like it because it's so bad.
It's a movie that I don't know. Even as a Jason movie, has way too many mistakes in it. But
the darkest side of the night.
Hey, that's a plus. That's a very good plus to that movie. And the look. and the atmosphere. I like the way it looks, but it's got a lot of problems. It's probably the worst case
the
of
Asian
fall
kid playing
fantasy.
Jason. Did you ever notice that?
What?
In the dream sequences, it's an Asian kid playing Jason.
Well, I didn't notice that. I just noticed that he had hair. I'm like, okay, you lost me at hair, and you lost me at a normal-looking kid because you totally don't know. Yeah, you totally don't know what the hell you're doing. But
I was like, I never knew Jason was Asian.
yeah, it's ultimate ending to the original story, I guess, of Jason.
Jason versus Chinatown. Dude, that would be an awesome movie, though.
Jason Takes Shanghai. Oh my goodness.
Jason versus Busta Rhymes.
Oh.
Trick or treat.
Oh goodness.
Keep going. I'm sorry. I have this horrible thing of interrupting.
No, it's fine, man. It was pretty funny. But yeah, part 8, part 7, because I think it's just an okay movie. It's good. Part 6, part 3, 2. What else am I missing? I'm missing part 4.
4, 1, and 5.
Yeah, 3, 2, then 4, then 1, then 5. So 5 is probably my top favorite one.
Okay, so that's very interesting. So you had 6, 7, and 8 as your bottom 3. I would too.
Yeah, absolutely.
A different order, but you can see how we both feel that after part 5, definitely the series took a dip in quality.
Yeah, absolutely.
Part 6 and 7 are better movies than part 8. Like I just am cheesy for it. So okay, so if I'm doing this from worst to best, I go part 6 at the bottom. I think it's Tom McLaughlin's direction more than anything. And he's a good director. He made Sometimes They Come Back, which is a really good Stephen King adaptation. Then I'd go part 8 above that. Then I'd probably go part 7. Then I'd go same thing. I'd go with part 3 in the number 5, which people go crazy. I mean, they're like, how do you have part 3 so low? It's just, I don't know. I don't think it's as good as the other 4.
Yeah, I love it to death. Don't get me wrong. I love part 3, but you look at it and compare it to like parts 4, even 2 and 1. And it's like, what is so special about besides the 3D aspect and the hockey?
Well, I think that's where it kind of suffered because like your cast wasn't as good. That of the first 5 has the worst cast in my opinion.
Like, yeah. People said that part 5 had the worst cast, and like part 3 had the one that nobody like was an interesting character in.
You had Shelley and you had Vera, 2 really good characters. I
hated the lead though. I couldn't stand the lead.
Yeah, I think I did on my podcast a few months back. We talked about part 3, and like I think like people are slowly but surely realizing that Dana Kimmel is kind of not the greatest. She's gorgeous, she is.
Well, absolutely.
But she's just, I don't know. There's just something about her. She just didn't really do the job for me. Tracy Savage playing the horror character. You don't really buy her as a horror. Her boyfriend was pretty generic. Like, I don't know. The part 3 cast has always been and the dream sequence is horrendous to this day with Jason attacked me and I ran and I ran. Like, that's so bad. Like, to this day, that really has not aged well.
Yeah.
Okay, so I go part 3. Then I'd probably go, man, that's tough. The original or part 2? I think I'll go with you. I think I'll go with part 2. Then I'll go with the original, and then I'll go with 4 and 5 switch a lot. Like one day I like 4 better, one day I like 5 better. It's very hard for me. For the purpose of this video, I'll go with 5 at the number 1 spot. But those 2 switch for me. To me, the perfect Friday the 13th double feature is 4 and 5. Back to back. That to me is the perfect Friday the 13th double feature. And if you want to top that, 1 and 2 is really good too. Watching the first 2 back to back is a lot of fun as well.
Also, another reason why I'm not really a big fan of part 6, just to get this in real quick, is because it like blatantly disregards everything that part 5 built up to. Granted, I'm not a people was telling me there was like, oh yeah, I wanted Tommy as the killer. I'm like, dude, let's be honest, Tommy as the killer. Like, he was supposed to be the lead character, and you're making the killer of the series. But I was like, that's probably the one thing I did not really care for was the fairy. So most people are like, oh, yeah, it's the Roy ending that I hate. I'm like, I think that the ending with Tommy trying to be the killer is like the one thing that bugs me about that movie is that ending of Tommy. But I like the Roy storyline, but I can live with that. But with this Tommy being the killer, I wasn't really sure if I was really a big fan of that storyline they was going to go with. So really, Part 6 had no choice.
Yeah, and the thing is, the reason Part 6 is called Jason Lives is because of the backlash that Part 5 got. Because they asked, this is, I don't blame Danny Steinman for this. They told Danny Steinman, listen, it's a new beginning. This is the beginning of a new part of the series. Jason is dead. So when he made this movie, Jason was dead. He could not set it up that Jason's going to be back in the next one. They made Jason be back in the next one because this movie failed so bad. And it's a shame that that's what they had to do and that's what they had to resort to. But at the end of the day, I think it was very smart.
Yeah,
that
I think it.
going to try to go that route.
Well, I think that if the movie would have just had it to where Tommy was okay, so this is how I would fix it. You could have the ending with Roy. Still love that ending. It's still great in my opinion. I love the ending of Part 5, the big twist. Even though you could see it coming a mile away, I still love it. I would just have it to where you could even keep the nightmare sequence of him killing Pam, but because that was like when I first watched Part 5 and I seen them, like, whoa, okay, but you can keep that, but just have it to where maybe he wakes up after that and he sees that final hallucination and he finally beats it, and then maybe you could have it to where it's a sunny, you can do the cliche sunny, new morning, new day kind of thing,
New beginning.
Yeah, you could do that and just have it to where maybe Tommy was like, okay, I beat this. I'm not afraid anymore. Let's move on. But with that ending with Tommy just with the mask on doing that, I'm just like, after Part 4 and leading up to Part 5 where he stopped a killer with the hockey mask, like, I just didn't really care for that where they was going to make him the killer. Because, like, what is Tommy going to do as the killer that is going to be bigger than what Jason did? Because I just didn't really see that they were going to go with that one. Because he would go back to a human killer, and then what was he going to say? Was he going to shave his head bald? Was he going to wear a hockey mask? Was he going to be the next Roy imposter Jason? Like, I don't know. It was a big mess for me, that ending, but it is what it is.
It definitely is. But given what Danny Steinman was given, I don't blame him for going that route because at that time, like I said, Jason was dead.
Yeah, true, definitely.
So Jason Lives is really, I mean, Part 5, it's almost like it doesn't exist.
Yeah, you think about it, really, what other ties does any other movies have to Part 5? Really?
The not Jesus Christ, the Tommy Jarvis character.
Yeah, that's the only tie, really.
But it's almost like in the next movie, he's perfectly fine. He's like, oh, we gotta go kill Jason, and he's and he's flirting with that girl in the car, and you're like, huh, you've come a long way from mental institution and attacking people that scared you with masks, huh? You paid rubber spiders? You paid rubber spiders on a string? Man,
Lex, Chief, can you take a joke?
I love that movie. And the grandfather, Reggie.
Yeah. All those characters are great.
He has
there's not one bad character in that movie, though, seriously.
Exactly. I 100% agree with you. But all right, so before we hit Halloween 3, let me just grab my charger for this thing. It's on its last percent.
Alrighty, man.
Be right back.
Alrighty. John Grande's on a mission right now to go retrieve his cell phone charger. But if you guys want to, I can check the chat real quick. The chat. And see if you guys got any questions going on. I should have pulled that up already, but for some reason I didn't. So please do not butcher me for that. And also, if you're not a fan of Part 5 or Halloween 3, well, first of all, what are you doing on this live stream? But second of all, if you aren't, then that's cool. We can have a friendly debate about it, but this is just kind of, our thoughts on the whole thing. Just getting this live chat pulled up, seeing what's going on in the chat. Okay, there's nobody commenting on the chat so far. Oh yeah, there is. Would love to go to that. I think you're saying to what John Grande talked about. Yeah, that does sound freaking amazing, dude. The Last Pharaoh, if you ever want to join the broadcast, man, you
What's that?
definitely can, man. This subscriber of mine, my friend Last Pharaoh, commented. I think he said that. He said I would love to go to that. I think he's talking about that double feature that he was talking about, which would be fun to go to that.
Oh yeah, dude, it's an awesome time. It's if you love horror, it's the night made for you. And that's what I love about it. Like you meet people that are into the same shit as you're into. And what's great about it is like I was telling Nate about this movie the last time we did a live stream. Thriller, they call her One Eye. And I had my shirt on, I had my Evil Dead jacket, and I had my Dawn of the Dead socks. And this guy
Oh
on the
my
line, he
goodness.
just goes, dude, you are awesome. You're head to toe in horror. I love it. And I was like, dude, so are you. And he had a Suspiria shirt on, and
Oh, that's
he had a
awesome.
Reanimator beanie. I was like, yo, where do you find a Reanimator beanie?
That's like,
I marked out. I was like, dude, where did you get this? I was stunned, but man, it's totally awesome.
oh yeah. I mean, heck, the reason I'm so hyped is because October's coming up. I'm gonna go see Halloween opening day, so I'm wearing my Halloween merch to it. See if I can meet any other Halloween fans there. Like that's gonna be also pretty fun. And also, what was really fun to go see Evil Dead. It's granted it was the remake, but going and seeing that opening day was awesome because there was just so many people there. Like I'll admit this, I've been to Marvel movies that were packed on opening day. I've been to action movies and comedies opening day, but man, dude, the funnest to go to is horror opening day. Like some of the lamest movies I've ever seen, like Crimson Peak and The Forest. Those two movies were awful, but man, the freaking movie theater experience was so worth it. It really was. And like The Gallows, that
Oh,
movie is awful. Sorry.
I agree. No, I agree. I was laughing at how you're totally right. Continue.
But yeah, I was just saying like the Gallows I seen, and that was just the worst movie ever seen that year. But the theater experience, it's pretty bad when people are laughing at it. And now I think that's pretty bad when I'm watching a horror movie and there are people behind me laughing at it, and I'm like, oh, dude, this movie sucks. But it is fun though, man. I mean, you got people throwing popcorn everywhere, throwing pop everywhere. You walk out of that theater, I mean, you might want to bring a poncho or something like that because you're gonna get popcorn and candy and pop all over you because it's crazy. But it's the best theater experience I think there is.
Dude, there's no doubt. And like here's a question for you. What is the best horror movie experience you've ever had? Like seeing it in the theater?
Oh, probably. I know it sounds like it's a lame movie, but it really wasn't. My funnest experience was seeing Evil Dead in the theater, which to most people are like, ah, it's the remake, it's lame. The remake is definitely one of the weaker movies, but man, oh my gosh, dude. When the blood went spraying, people was running out and running in and running back out again. You had people lining up in the hallways because they was too scared to go in the theater. Like, man, it was such a fun experience. And like, I remember sitting there, and I was really hyped for it because I seen the poster, the trailer, and I was one of the very few people back then that was going, "Yeah, man, this movie's gonna be epic." And it was pretty good experience in the theaters. It's definitely a fun kind of gory gore fest movie. Granted, it doesn't have much else going for it, but for the gore alone, I mean, it's just a fun watch. And seeing that in the movie theater was just freaking amazing. But I've always wanted to go and see like what you watch. I've always wanted to go to those old school, seeing those kind of 8mm old school horror films in their original state. Like I would love. Did I say 8mm?
Yeah. Yeah. 35.
My bad. My
Dude,
bad. I would want to go see old. The point of that was I would want to go see old school movies like you do, John. And if one day I could find a theater around here that did that, I would definitely do I think that'd be the best ultimate experience of all time.
Dude, I'm gonna actually send you right now. I took a video. The coolest. This is not like current movies or the question I asked you, but the best movie experience I had seeing the retro movies was seeing Texas Chainsaw Massacre on the big screen, 35 millimeter. The coolest experience of my life when it comes to seeing an old school movie. I'm looking for my phone. I took a video of the ending of the movie. I'm trying to find it right now. Bear with me. But dude, man, seeing this movie on 35 was the coolest experience of all time. Like, because it is made to be seen as that gritty, grimy type of flick.
Oh yeah.
I'm sending it to you right now. You can totally give it a watch if you'd like.
All
Here,
right.
I just messaged it to you. It's sending. But dude, I mean, you talk about fun crowds that are aware and that are fun, that are passionate. There's nothing better than those screenings, man. They're tailor-made for people like me. And I try to go to all of them. Like sometimes if I have to work that night, it's the worst feeling because I'm like, man, I could just be out there watching Suspiria or Inferno. I missed those two. That would have been really cool to see that. Did you get my message?
Is it Facebook?
Yeah.
Not yet. It didn't
No?
come up yet. Maybe if I refresh it, maybe it got stuck or something. I think that when I get my car, I'm working on getting my driver's license right now. But when I get my car and I drive for a while, okay, it's sent. I was wanting to go to Scarefest in Lexington, and I'll probably meet Steve if he goes. I'll meet probably a lot of people that go to that. Whoever goes to that, so it'd be pretty cool for that too. And
How
multiple
far
things.
garage?
Well, from my state, I live in Ohio. It really wouldn't be that bad. I think I've been on that, route through Cincinnati, and you got to cut through to Kentucky and drive to Lexington. I think I've actually been on that before, so I kind of have a good idea of what to do. But I'll bring probably 5 GPSs just to be safe or something like that, including my phone. But
I went to Monster Mania in Philly. It's actually technically Cherry Hill, New Jersey, but it's fucking a block away and you're in Philly. So it's basically Philly. Dude, I swear to God, I don't know why it's New Jersey. It's the outskirt of Philly. It's like the border of Philly. And it's a blast, man. I love going to horror conventions. I met George Romero. I met Malcolm McDowell. I actually bumped into Danny Glover while walking.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah, I didn't even realize it was him. My dad goes, "Yo, you just fucking almost knocked down Danny Glover." I went, "That wasn't Danny Glover." He goes, "Yeah, it was." And I ran outside. I said, "Sorry, Mr. Glover," and he just waved. I was like, "Holy shit, man! That's fucking weapon."
That is awesome.
It was mind blowing. And I actually, when we were checking in, Gary Busey was standing in front of us in the line to check in.
Dude, that's so epic.
So
dude.
it was absolutely we ate lunch with Malcolm McDowell. It was really.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah, he didn't say much. He wasn't the greatest. You could see he was there for the money, but he still one of my favorite performers.
Well, I got a question. Is he better than Linda Blair, or what's your experience?
Nobody is worse than Linda Blair. Linda Blair, I'll sign this autograph picture of me and my dog. We want to see Exorcist stuff. We want to see Savage Street stuff, Hell Night stuff. Not your dog.
Maybe her dog's going to be in the next Exorcist movie. Maybe it's going to be about her dog.
No offense to any dogs, but goddamn, I don't want a picture of Linda Blair's dog. I just don't. I'm not interested. If you're interested, but be interested, go buy it. I'm not interested. Goddamn stupidest thing ever, man.
Yeah, but I've heard stories.
Oh, she's the worst. I mean, I didn't even attempt it. They were for the most part, they're all pretty cool. I would really like to meet the cast of Dawn of the Dead, but they don't ever seem to come this far over. They usually do Chicago. They'll do Texas. They have yet to do anyone by me. And the one to Philly is about a 3-hour drive from me, so it's not a short drive.
Well, there was this one that I seen on Facebook. I guess it's in. I don't remember if it was in Cincinnati or Cleveland, but if it's that close, I'll go to that. It's a really cool idea. They built a horror convention inside of a real haunted school, like a real haunted elementary school, like built it, I think, in the inside of it, and that is the awesome, like the like freaking Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. That's the Willy Wonka's chocolate factory for like horror fans. That is the Wonderland for us. That is the wardrobe and freaking Chronicles of Narnia for us. Like I can compare it to so many. It's freaking Hogwarts to us. Like you can name off a million things. That's what it is to us.
Welcome to Wonderland, Dallas.
Yeah. Welcome to Wonderland, Dallas.
Long live Freddy. Dude, do you know Robert Englund was charging to take a picture with him in the Freddy makeup a few years back?
No, I didn't know that at all.
Oh, you didn't know that? Take a guess about the amount he charged just for one picture with him in the Freddy makeup. No green sweater, no red and green sweater, just a convention shirt on. Take a wild guess at how much.
I don't know. Usually people charge about, talking expensive, maybe 50 or 60. I don't know.
Try that plus $305. $365.
John, I hate to cut this broadcast short, but I'm gonna get up and leave out my room right now. I'll see you later, man. I'm just kidding.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Yo, I fucking totally believed you. I was like, what the fuck? Dude, I got really worried. I was like, dude, is there something wrong? I was like, bleeding.
That's my reaction to that price.
Dude, I swear to God, how crazy is that?
That's insane, man. Like, I get it. It's because the makeup and he hasn't had it on in a while, but really? Really?
He's wearing the sweater or the glove. Dude, the pictures came out like shit, too. People actually paid. $365.
That better be the best picture ever. You better get the best frame for that picture. Like you gotta buy if you're gonna pay that much for a picture, you gotta have that the most decorated thing in your house with like house arrest around it, like freaking everything behind it.
It should be a golden frame, like real gold.
Yeah. Should be hidden behind your wall, a secret passage in your wall. Flips around, there's your picture.
Shit frame. Such a joke. People pay that shit, but
no way, man. No freaking way.
Absolutely, I am 100% with you. But all right, so you want to dive into Halloween Part 3?
Oh, absolutely. This would be fun.
Season of the Witch.
Take it easy in the comments on us, people. This is just opinions.
Peace and love.
We love you all, even though you probably hate our opinions on these movies.
Too sweet.
All right, so Halloween 3. Who do you want? You want me to go first, or?
Yeah, you go first. I went first last time.
Alrighty. Halloween 3 is a movie that when I was young, I seen Halloween 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. I was very familiar with the Halloween series, and Halloween 3 was a movie that I had always wondered, like, well, why did I skip Halloween 3? There's obviously a 3 in this series, but I was like, okay, so let me try to find Halloween 3. Same as you, man. I could never find Halloween 3. I looked for the DVD. I looked for the VHS, man. I looked for everything. I was desperate to see Halloween 3. So I got on YouTube and I looked up Halloween. I was always wondering, like, why is this movie so hard to find? So I looked up Halloween 3 and I watched the trailer. And I was like wondering, I'm like, so this really isn't a Michael Myers movie, is it? I was like, there's no Michael Myers in this trailer. There's no Michael Myers in this poster art. There's no Michael Myers anywhere at all with this movie. It's like, okay, all right. It's no Michael Myers, but let me give it a watch. So I went to a flea market, and I swear to you, man, you want to find some hidden gems, go to flea markets. Like, I know it's probably not the 5-star you're wanting, but, I found Prince of Darkness there. I found all these different movies there. I found Exorcist 3. I found a bunch of hidden gems at flea markets and like rare stuff there before. But I was looking around, and at that time I was a very vintage kid. I had a VHS player, and I loved VHS. And that was probably when Blu-ray just came out, so I still had a VHS player. But I seen Halloween 3. I think it was $2 to get it, so I bought it.
$2.
$2. He said, he was like, "Oh yeah, for that, 2 quarters." I'm like, "All right, two, give me two."
Wow.
So I gave him 2 quarters for that, and I brought it home, put it in the VHS player, watched it. And I remember sitting there saying, that one didn't have Michael Myers in it. I mean, he was in it on a TV. But I was telling myself, like, that was actually a pretty good movie. I actually really loved it. And even as a kid, I watched it a lot. And it's still to this day one of the Halloween movies that I watch the most, just like part 5 of Friday the 13th. But same with part 5 of Friday the 13th. I would get on these horror forums, fan pages on Facebook, stuff like that. And I would just say, "Oh yeah, Halloween 3 is a really good movie," and I just got done watching it, and blah blah blah. People were like, "Are you insane? You just used that word Halloween 3 and good in the same sentence." I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, what's so bad about it?" And man, the backlash was insane. And I remember I did a review on YouTube, and that was like that and Phantasm 4 were some of the most like reviews that I got a lot of backlash from the viewers on, because for Phantasm 4 I hated it because it was the only Phantasm movie I watched and I was super confused and I didn't know what was going on, and it was my fault. Why? That was my fault that I was viewing the movie so negatively. I should have watched the movie before it, but I've afterwards fixed that and I've re-reviewed part 4 and I actually really love part 4. Well, I think it's a pretty decent movie, but Halloween 3 I also got a lot of flack on. Because people were like, "Man, how do you love this movie? This movie doesn't even have Michael Myers in it. It's lame." And I'm like, "Yeah, but look what all it has. It has a very, I don't care what people say. People can say it's a stupid idea all they want. I think the idea of a guy trying to kill all the kids in the world with these Halloween masks that have real bugs and snakes and crickets and all these freaking weird things coming out of these kids, like, and he's trying to kill all these kids across the entire world with these masks." And I'm like, this is a dark, ballsy, and creepy film that I thought had a great atmosphere to it. I thought it felt like a Halloween movie. It felt like a movie I will always watch on October, which I do. It had Tom Atkins in it, which Tom Atkins is one. I'm sorry, Tom Atkins is up there with like Kurt Russell and all these other guys. It's like one of my favorite actors out there. Big fan of Tom Atkins, but Tom Atkins is in it. I really like the guy Cochran, who is the leader of the Shamrock company that creates these masks. Silver Shamrock, which is probably the most catchiest but / annoying commercials ever. And there's just a lot of great stuff to it. The commercial is classic. I like the 3 designs of the mask. It's simple but effective. I think that it uses darkness and creepiness and atmosphere and suspense very well. It's a very mysterious movie. Alan Howard's score is amazing. I'm a really big fan of Tommy Lee Wallace, the director, so that also helped as well. Thought he brought a really great mood to the movie, and like there's endless stuff that I love about this movie. I love the idea of it, having the crazy cyborg android people as these people who are kind of in suits, and I kind of like that idea. I like the idea of this girl kind of picking at the logo, and it shoots her in the. And this is like probably one of the goriest Halloween movies there is, because really, you think about it, Halloween and gore don't really go together that much. Halloween's more about keeping you in suspense and atmosphere. That's what separates Halloween from Friday the 13th. It's less about the kills and the gore and the blood and more about successfully scaring the audience. But Halloween 3, it was able to do that, but also it was able to add in gore, which is not a problem at all. So you had that scene where it blasts the girl in the face, and I just thought when I was a kid, it scared the living crap out of me because of the way her mouth looks and the bug crawls out. I'm like, ugh, what the is this? Like, what is this movie about? And then, like, I kept watching and got more and more into the story, and I just, thought Cochran was a great bad guy, and the usage of the creepy classic Halloween scene. That's like one of my favorite scenes from the series, and just in general, one of my favorite scenes of all time is where the kid is watching the commercial and you're wondering, something bad's going to happen, because obviously Cochran is having this plan. It's already told you this plan. So you know something bad is going to happen to this kid, but it's not about what's going to happen to him. It's about like when is it going to happen? Because he's watching a TV and you're thinking, okay, nothing's really happening, and then like the mask starts to rot, and then like he falls into brown, and this is like one of the eeriest scenes I've ever seen, where he's got like real snakes and real bugs and all this stuff coming out of the mask, and you know, I love that, and I also love the ending where it's like classic scene where um, Tom Atkins is trying to stop the TV from broadcasting this. That stop it, please stop it, stop it, stop it, and then it cuts. I think that was perfect. Just endless things. Once again, sorry for blabbering my mouth so much, but I can't help it. I just absolutely love Halloween 3 to death. Never got the hate for it.
Hey, I don't blame you at all. You pretty much covered all of it, man. But you're right. I mean, it's a movie that is really misunderstood, and for all the wrong reasons, which is a shame because I mean, it's a horror classic in my eyes. And my real thing is, I really wonder why or what this film's legacy would have been had it just been called Season of the Witch. I mean, granted, it probably would have been seen by a lot less general moviegoers, but at the same time, we have a diehard horror fans have a knack for finding hidden gems, and I wonder, would this be a cult film? Would this be this huge cult film that people were like, wow, this is a really good movie based on the concept of Halloween stuff and all this stuff, like the catchy tunes. I mean, this movie's legacy might be very different if you change the title.
Yeah.
It might have been completely flat and disliked anyway, but imagine the impact it could have had. Like, imagine if it really wasn't given that title. Like, that's the one thing that I wonder, because I think you would have had a cult classic on your hands.
Yeah, luckily this movie though is starting to get a lot more respect than it used to. Like I think it just recently started picking up really good steam with like the kind of cult following the Halloween 2 got, which, you know, I'll be honest, I kind of was a Halloween 2, you know, diehard fan, which I still am. I still love that movie to death. But that used to be my favorite movie of the entire series. Obviously, it's a good movie. I think it's second best, but very close second best. I think it's like the best you could have got to follow up Halloween, like, you know. But Halloween 3, I think when I first watched it, even then it still had that fan base that, you know, not fan base, but that backlash that, you know, oh, you like this movie, you're absolutely idiot. Like I was getting really tough heat for liking the movie and voicing my opinion about it, which was just kind of crazy. And then it got to a point where when I would start talking to people, I would say, okay, you know, you obviously hate this movie because you just blew up and wrote like 5 paragraphs to me. You're pretty much writing a book to me about why you don't like this movie. I like the article, I really do, but like, can you explain to me like why you don't like it? And they'd say the one thing that I never got about this movie is hate. And they'd say just, oh yeah, it's because Michael Myers isn't in it. I'm like, okay, all right, that's the one thing you got, and the fact that it's called Halloween. I'm like, if I take those away, what do you like? Like, well, I like the story, I like the concept, I like this, but I just don't like it because Michael Myers isn't in it. I'm like, dude, that doesn't make any sense to me. If it's a good movie, you should like it, even if there's no, like, it's like albums and music that gets backlash that I've liked. Like, well, it's because they sold out. It's like, I don't care what it sounds like. It could be pop, rock, rap, whatever, as long as it's good and I like it. But with Halloween 3, I was just like, man, you know, I would talk to these people and they would say, like, oh, yeah, it doesn't Michael Myers in it. I'm like, so what else is bad about it? They're like, oh, nothing else is bad. It's just that. I'm like, I personally just never got that. I never got how you could despise a movie for that simple reason alone. But, you know, it's an underrated movie, and luckily it has been getting that cult following. But man, it was just for the longest time a movie that was so taboo to talk about. It was like the movie that if you liked, yeah, you mentioned it, you better get ready for that heat. You know, that heat would turn on. But yeah, I love Halloween 3, man. It's a great movie. I mean,
Yeah,
it's got
same.
everything to it.
Yeah, it really does, and it's atmospheric and it's different. It tells a story. I mean,
It's Carpenter.
yeah, if you look at this movie, I mean, maybe it would have been up there as a cult classic, like a Hocus Pocus, like a Nightmare Before. Wait, not Nightmare Before Christmas. What's the other one? The Charlie Brown Halloween thing. I mean, it might have been up there with those Halloween like cult classics, those standalone cult classics.
Yeah.
Spooky Godmother, I remember, was one that I always really liked.
Halloween Town.
Yeah, Halloween Town. I mean, the Disney Channel had a lot of good ones. There's one I always liked called "Don't Go Look Under the Bed," and it was like the
Oh yeah, I like those. And Goosebumps. Those
oh
always
yeah,
favorite of mine.
Haunted Mask 2. I look at this movie as fitting in perfectly with stuff like that. Like it's really really cool, and I love those Halloween standalone cult classics because they really get that mood right. They get you in the mood of Halloween. They get you in the mood. Like watching the original Halloween is you can watch it at any time of the year. It's not a movie I necessarily go, oh, this gets me in the mood for Halloween. Like Halloween 3 to me focuses on the season and the holiday
Lore.
of Halloween the most out of any of them.
Yeah.
I mean, Halloween 2, it doesn't even have to be called Halloween 2. I mean, it takes place in a hospital. There's nothing really Halloweeny about it, even though it is my favorite one because it's just fantastic. It's really the one that focuses the least amount on the holiday. I mean, it's stuff like Part 5, you have a Halloween party. Of course, the classic Danielle Harris stuff in Part 4 with her dressing up as the clown and seeing her Uncle Michael in the mirror. I mean, there's just some great stuff about it.
Okay, I got a really quick question to ask. I did not mean to interrupt you.
No worries.
Sorry. But I was just curious because I'm a former Halloween like #1 kind of fan, which I still am. I still love it, but you know what I mean. I used to rank it up there as my favorite. But I was just curious, what are your thoughts on the new Halloween kind of disregarding Part 2 and just completely going with Part 1? Like, what's your thoughts on that? Just curious.
Well, it's funny you asked me. I was talking about that with Will not too long back, and the day the trailer came out, I watched the trailer and I said, oh, okay, this looks, whatever. It looks like Halloween 40 years later. It kind of looks like H2O Part 4 in the original.
Oh, goodness.
that was totally when I first saw it. But I don't know how I missed the line, but there's a line where he goes, isn't that her brother? And I don't know, the response to the line is, no, that's just something somebody made up or something like that. I believe that's the line. When I first watched the trailer, didn't realize it. And then my friend Will asked me the question you just asked me. He said, how do you feel about that? And I said, what do you mean? He goes, they're not brother and sister anymore. And I went, what? So I quickly watched the trailer again. I said, how the hell did I miss that? And that apparently was news 4 months ago. And I don't know how I missed that, but I did. So when I hear about this, I kind of throw my arms in the air because, number one, Halloween 2 is my favorite of the series. I love the movie. I just think it's a perfect slasher movie. It to this day has some of the best stalk and slash scenes ever. One of probably my favorite final chase scene in the hospital and in that elevator. She's pushing the button and it's so slowly coming and he's so slowly moving towards her. I remember being a little kid just screaming at the television. I was like, "Come on, bitch, run!" Like that. I mean, I would just yell and go crazy, but here's my thing. Like, I understand that there are going to be the people that say it doesn't matter. It's just he's after her again. Don't let it get to you. I honestly have to let it get to me. I think it's silly. Okay, so if none of the other movies happened, 40 years have gone by now, right? So you're disregarding three Jamie Lee Curtis movies. You're disregarding Halloween 2, and you're disregarding the first attempt to do what you're doing now, which is Halloween H2O. So that didn't happen either. None of it happened. So, okay, if the killing was completely random in the first movie, and that's what's supposed to be scary about it. That's what Mr. Carpenter goes on and on about. That's what's so scary about it is because there's no reason. Then why are you back for her in this movie? If there was no reason, then there shouldn't be a reason still. You can't erase Halloween 2 because that gave you the reason.
Yeah. And it's kind of like real quick, it's kind of like if you take away that sister aspect, them being like related, then why would he go back to just chase down a complete stranger? And why would he want to still do that?
Yeah, if you're going to erase those movies, then have him chase anybody on this planet. Have him chase me before you have him chase Jamie Lee. That doesn't make any sense to me, and I don't stand by it. I'm not going to let it hinder my experience of the movie. If the movie is good, if the movie's well done, if it's atmospheric and it does what the original does, I'll praise it. But my one doubt, I have a few doubts. I just don't like shit like she has a daughter now, but it's not Danielle Harris when Danielle Harris is still acting and she's still beautiful and she's still. I just don't get it. Like, why would you recast a new daughter after the Sun Experiment and Josh Hartnett failed? It's just, I don't know, man. It's so far just looks very convoluted for me. And I like to just go in there and turn my brain off and say, I'm going to enjoy a Michael movie. That's what people tell me with these new Star Wars movies. Oh, you just don't get it. You have to have fun with it. That's what all the Star Wars movies about. Oh yeah, you hypocrites. Then why do you all hate on the prequels? I like the prequels. Call me crazy. I like Darth Maul. I like the Phantom Menace. I like the pod race. Fuck you. I just don't like. I don't hate on shit. I loved those movies growing up. I liked all of them. Attack of the Clones is kind of shitty. I'll admit that. But Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith, I still to this day love. I love those movies. And there's a thing about it. I didn't have that much fun watching them. I just enjoyed them because they were good films, in my opinion. So with these new Star Wars movies, I'm supposed to turn my brain off and be like, oh, it's good. And Kylo's the best villain ever. Come on, man. Really? He's not the best villain ever. He's got a big nose and he whines about everything. Well, Anakin whined about sand. Anakin murdered sand people. He murdered children, women, men. He's a better villain than this Kylo guy. Sorry, this became into a Star Wars rant. But I just can't I can't stand people telling me have fun. And then they'll bash stuff like the prequels, and they'll bash stuff like Halloween 4, and they'll bash stuff like Halloween 5. Like, okay, Halloween 5 is not a good movie, but I'm dead ass. I will make a prediction that this new movie will not be better than Halloween 5 in my brain. Halloween 5's bad, but I go back and rewatch it a lot. I don't know about you, but I don't know. I just hope it's a good movie. I hope David Gordon Green does a good job directing. I know he and Danny McBride are big horror fans, and I totally give them their kudos on that. I feel like we're in good hands. But at the same time, I believe Danny McBride was the mastermind behind Alien. What was
Covenant?
Covenant, yeah. So, I mean, if that's a precursor, I don't know how much I can look forward to this. I'm fingers crossed. I want a new horror movie that's going to be good. But just because it's Halloween and just because it's not Rob Zombie this time does not mean it's going to be great. I hate to burst people's bubbles, but that's just the way it is. I hope it is great, though. I mean, fingers crossed. I have open mind going into it, and I hope it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with you, man. That's why I was asking you that, because as a former, like, not really former, I keep saying that as if it's a movie I don't like anymore. But Halloween 2 used to be my favorite, and it's still one of my favorites. It's still, like, absolutely my favorite slashers out there and horror films out there. But, I don't know, something about the first movie kind of draws me a little bit more to the first movie. But Halloween 2 is, like, the closest second best that has ever been, like, done, because like seriously, that's a closer second best than like Friday the 13th Part 2 or Part 3 or like some of those other great sequels that kind of follow up the first movie. For me, Halloween 2 is a great movie, and I can kind of understand partially why they did it, mainly because you had the Thorn plot line, and then the way that H2O ended was kind of like, so how are we gonna do it after that? So with them taking out H2O, I can understand. Taking out 6, 5, and 4, I can understand. Taking out, well, there's no taking out 3 because it's never been canon in the first place. But 2 being taken out, I think, is a little bit far, because you could bring back Michael after that. They did it in Halloween 4. You could do it after Part 2. Like you said, it gives Michael a motive. It gives him a reason. And I don't know if they have a strong reason in this movie. It's pretty much, everybody. That's like the thing that people have said. Like Michael Myers has always been known as Laurie's brother. Now, granted, John Carpenter kind of just wrote it, one night when he was drunk, maybe, or maybe it kind of became a thing in Halloween too. That's something that we've always known about Halloween. Laurie has always been Michael's sister, and it became that. That's what it became. And now that you're taking that away, I think you're removing a very important element to Michael Myers and what made it personal, what made it a struggle. And I love the idea of him hunting down his family member. That's what made the story about Michael Myers interesting. The Thorn plot is what kind of destroyed it, because like you got people running around and you got people running around a cult freaking road like that. Okay, take that stuff out. That's a little ridiculous. But
you get a tattoo.
No, never freaking do that. Never ever freaking do that.
I totally agree with what you're saying, and I love in part 5, Loomis says, I know why you try to kill them, Michael. It's because they can stop the rage. They can stop the rage inside you. And there's that one moment where Michaels takes his mask off and she says, let me see your face, Uncle. And it's heartfelt. I mean, it's not, like I said, it's not a good movie, but that scene, the laundry suit scene where he's stabbing through the laundry chute and she's actually stepping on his knife to escape. I mean, that's some good shit.
Yeah.
And I always liked that was the motive.
Yeah.
Whoever gets in his way of killing the one that can stop the rage is the people he's going to kill. He's going to kill you violently. And the one person he's trying to kill the most, he can't do it because he can never get the upper hand on her. She has his number. And that's what's so awesome about the Michael Myers character. I feel like you're taking away a really important element of that character. And I know people are just, they can't hear it. They're just going to be like, who cares? Who cares? Who cares? I'll be honest. I kind of care.
Me too.
I'm glad you're with me. I've talked to a few people about this. Oh, by the way, I want to give my buddy Brian, I actually sent this to him. Brian, if you're watching, hello. I don't know if you have a YouTube account or anything to message in the comments, but if you're watching, thank you, man. I appreciate it. I'll give you the thumbs up if you can't give us the thumbs up. But I just, like I saying, man, it's very, I don't know if I'm behind it. I really don't. And because, I mean, Halloween 2 and Halloween happened in the same night.
Yeah, so absolutely.
Say Halloween 2 didn't exist.
I could kind of see it to where maybe they would think, well, you look at Halloween 2 and even if you look at Halloween 4 and you're a fan of it, like, you got to admit, like, him surviving that much fire is kind of bullcrap. And I'm like, yeah, they still give him, they could have made it to where he didn't have damage on him at all. They could have made it to where he came back and he's normal, he's fine. It's just, ooh, how did he come back? But at least they added that element. And I actually like that look, the burned look on the hands. I love the added creepy look to Michael. But, you know, Halloween 2 is a great movie, and it had a lot of important stuff. It was the first movie to introduce the fact that he's not after a stranger, or it's not just a babysitter. It's his sister. It's a family member, and it gives him a reason for killing his sister in the first movie. And it adds so much to the story. And now that that's taken away, it's going to be hard to look at Jamie as just, you know, or not Jamie, Laurie as, well, I could say Jamie, but looking at Laurie as just a normal character. Like, she's not his sister. But what I'm hoping they do is that somehow they say that maybe Laurie doesn't know it yet, and maybe like halfway through the movie they're going to say like, oh yeah, it's an urban legend, and someone goes, no, it's not. You're really his sister, and then they do that twist again. Pointless twist, because like, dude, then what's the point of you doing the? It would be a convoluted twist, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm looking a lot forward to the new movie because the last movie I seen in theaters was Rob Zombie's Halloween, so it'd be pretty cool seeing this movie after a long wait. It's the same thing with the new Jason movie. Whenever that gets made, it'll be questionable because it's been having scripts that are questionable, very questionable. Like, they had a script, John.
Oh, where, I know.
You know, but the it's like an 80s slasher movie, but without Jason. It's like with a female Jason or something like that.
Oh, I was going to talk about the script that mentioned his whole history. It was going to be The first third was telling you about Elias Voorhees, his father. The second third was going to be about Pamela Voorhees, and then their relationship, them having Jason, Elias dying, Jason drowning, and then the third act was going to be Jason like in the woods hunting and scavenging and growing up. So no hockey mask. It was just going to be like an origin story.
What the hell? Like, I was about to say, what is this, an autobiography or something?
You can't do an origin story about a hockey mask killer. We just want to see him kill people with a hockey mask.
Yeah, there is no reasoning behind it. Like, we all know what happened. It's like, all you're going to add to it is that maybe Elias was Jason's dad, and, you know, maybe you could add that in there. But it's like, dude, we could figure that out just thinking about it. We don't need a even $2 million budget movie being made about that. We want to see Jason killing people, like you said. But I think it's at least it's a more creative script than just saying, oh yeah, we're gonna bring Jason back as a chick, and we're gonna have her running around with a hockey mask killing people. Which I'm not sexist or anything like that. I think that, you know, the female Ghostbusters got, you know, a lot of people heat and stuff like that. But just think about it: a female Jason running around killing people. Like, how is that gonna work? Like, let's be honest, you know. And I don't know. That script, at least, they put a little bit more effort into than that other one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a shame because it's really, these people in Hollywood do not understand the simplest formula of them all, which is the slasher formula. And we were talking about this at the beginning: boobs, blood, mayhem. That's the slasher formula.
Easy. How hard is it to understand that? It really isn't.
They don't get it because they see stuff like Bates Motel getting good ratings, and they're like, oh, they want to see what he was like before the Psycho movies. No, nobody cares about who Jason was before the Friday 13th movies. We love Jason with the mask, killing teens, killing horny ass teens, and doing it well. You know what I mean? That's the formula, and that's what we want to see. It's not that hard, but they're dying to get this origin story in there.
Yeah,
because
I think it's just. Oh, you can go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, dude, no worries. They don't get it. They think, oh, this will sell because it's sold with Psycho, it's sold with Bates Motel, and all these other origin stories. You don't need an origin story. You just need to have Jason in the woods with a machete doing his thing. It's the simplest formula in the world. The best script I read that they threw out was the Jason in the Snow script. Did you read that?
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up, was that if they're going to do anything, because I heard that people are saying that, like, they've talked about it, they're not really sure what to do with Jason anymore. Jason's been to space, Jason's done this, that. Well, what else can we do with Jason? I'm like, do the one that we've all been talking about. Do it where it's in the snow. Like, it's simple. Put boobs, put nudity, put blood, put good kills, put Jason in there. You know, zombie or human, we don't really care. I mean, probably zombie to be tied to the story, but, you know, have him just do that in the snow. Have him come out of the ice, and it's like a big reveal. Like, have it take place in like a plot line where maybe Jason has been down there frozen for years, and then he comes out of the ice. It's such an epic moment. Like, you could make such a grand reopening to the series. And, you know, I've always thought that there's still a couple of ideas they could do with Jason. I think also, if you wanted to get the rights to from John Carpenter and from Mustafa Akkad's son, and you want to work with them, make a Jason versus Michael movie. You can do that. Make a sequel to that, Jason versus Michael versus Ash. You can branch out and do things. You just got to take the time to sit down and think about it and say, okay, what do we want the fans to have, and not just what do we want to have, you know, because it's easy for them to just sit down and go, oh yeah, Jason, hockey mask guy, let's put him out of the lake, let's get a couple. Like, no, man, you make it a cliche like that, you know, there's a big reason why the remake got so much hate, because really it's just that. But you add in those little new stuff to it, you add in something that hasn't been done before, and you're looking for it, do stuff like that. Heck, I'll do it. Like, me and my friend, we talked about how WWE does things and how they kind of sometimes don't pay attention to what they're doing. And I'm like, dude, we love it so much. We do it for free. Like, you want us to write a good script, I'll put the effort into it. You ain't got to pay me. I just want to see the movie going good in theater. Like, that's all I would care about, you know.
Yeah, they're it's not rocket science. It really isn't. It's just it's mind-boggling, you know. It's just you're like, huh? Like, why can't you just make Jason
Yeah,
in the woods? Change the setting. If you really need to change something so bad, change the it's Crystal Lake in the winter. Boom. That's it. That's the biggest change you need. And you can do all sorts of kills, a ski lift kill. You could do a snowboarding kill. You could do a snow tubing kill. You could do,
absolutely.
you know, you do a fucking, I don't know, you could have them break a hot chocolate thing and fucking scald somebody to death with hot chocolate. I don't know. Any of that shit. I'd rather see that than see Elias fucking Voorhees, okay? I'd rather see Elias from WWE be hello, I am Elias. What does WWE stand for?
Walk with Elias.
You could have be fucking I'm Jason's father. What does IJF stand for? I'm Jason's father. Yo, that would be trash. That would be fucking trash.
It'd
I'm
be
sorry.
awful, man.
I'm so thrilled they didn't make that movie because if they did, I would have literally like protested. And I'm still never protested to anything. But if they had told me, because I read that script and that script
Oh,
was
goodness.
so horrendously awful and didn't get it. I think you're right, man. It's people like us, it's fans that would do shit like this for free. It's the way it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, I mean, it is what it is. Oh, my friend Brian loved the Elias thing.
All right.
He's a
Big shout out to Brian. Thanks for watching, man.
Hey, thank you again. We really appreciate it.
No problem, man. It's fun having everybody on the stream, man, and talk about these things. But
do we have anything else in the chat? He said he doesn't have a YouTube account. That's why he hasn't said anything. He's instant messaging me.
yeah, there's nothing else really in the chat right now. I think.
That one guy was just going bonkers over my cool all night horror.
Yeah.
Be jealous.
Yeah, I wanna see if we can get him on stream because he's a really cool guy. Maybe
Which
one day
guy?
we can get him on.
Oh, the guy that commented that?
Yeah, Last Pharaoh. He's a really cool YouTuber. So
I gotta check him out. I don't know any of his channel and stuff.
yeah, he does a lot of really cool. Shout out to Last Pharaoh, but he does a lot of really cool unboxings and stuff like that. And he has like the most awesome horror collection I've ever seen. He puts my horror collection to shame. Lots of horror fans put my horror collection to shame, I noticed. But
does he have these two beauties behind me?
he has a lot of stuff that's like limited edition, like special edition type stuff, like freaking amazing stuff in his collection.
I got a Sleepaway Camp 3 poster. I'm pretty sure there's only like 100 of them in the whole world.
I didn't even know Sleepaway Camp 3 had a poster, but
you've never seen the Sleepaway Camp 3 poster? Holy shit! Hold on, I'm gonna.
I've seen the fake, well, not the fake one, but the one that's like a ripoff of 4. Or no, that's 4. 4 is ripoff of 3, I think.
Oh, is that the direct to DVD, like the Survivor or something?
It's like there's 1, 2, 3, and then there's a 4. Yeah, it's that poster. It's that poster, but it says 4 instead of 3. I was like, that's the 3 poster.
Yeah, man. Like when I got that poster, I got it from some idiot on eBay. He was like, yo, I'm selling this. And I was like, yo, I was like, really? I was like, how much do you want? He goes, $50. I was like, dude, you could, I didn't say this to him. I was like, dude, you could sell this thing for over like $300. But I was like, yeah, $50 sounds good to me. When can I get it? Oh, free shipping. And so I got $50. I got that freaking bad boy, man. It is my prized horror possession. Like I marked out when I got it.
That is epic, dude.
It's a real video poster. Like I couldn't believe it, man. I'm still fucking stoked about it.
Yeah,
here's a good one. What's your favorite thing you own in your entire collection?
Favorite thing? Well, probably. I do like that Crow poster, but like horror wise, I have the I used to have my favorite used to be the Ultimate Edition Steelbook of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but I recently picked up the 40th anniversary edition, dude, that is like ×5 of the features from that. And like, if you're a Chainsaw Massacre fan, you watch those features, like literally, you'll know every single thing about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And I spent probably one day watching like everything on that DVD. And it's a 4-disc set. It's a Blu-ray and DVD set. If you don't have a Blu-ray player, it has DVDs for you to watch. And man, like they get interviews. They finally got the girl who got hung on the meat hook. That actress, they finally got an interview with her, which I always wondered about. It's like they always interviewed the entire cast, but her. I'm like, why don't they ever interview her? But they got her. They got.
He did an interview with Dead Pit a few years back. Terry McMinn, right? Isn't that
Yeah, Terry. Yeah, Terry.
He did an interview with Dead Pit, and that was like her only interview for years. And I remember being like, "How did they get this interview?" Like, I still don't know how they got it, but of course, because they're the greatest horror radio station of all.
Oh yeah, Dead Pit's awesome. Shout out to them too.
I ordered
and Sausage Factory.
Yeah, absolutely. I ordered a Last House on the Left. It's the Arrow edition Blu-ray. It's like 3-disc set. It comes with a poster. It comes with like every special feature you could think of. Documentaries. It comes with a booklet, like a full-on book about the making of the movie. Production photos and stills and stuff. Like, it is going to be the coolest freaking horror DVD Blu-ray thing I've ever gotten in my life. Like, I am so looking forward to it. I think it's only a couple weeks away and it gets released, and it'll be at my house the day it comes out. So July 3rd is going to be an awesome freaking night for me. I have I can go look for it. I have my signed copy of Dawn of the Dead. Hold on, I'll look. I'll find if I can see it here.
Well, there is if you can still hear me. There's one edition of Chains, because since I'm a fan of Chainsaw Massacre, the original, I've always wanted to pick up like different editions of it. So I picked up like the Meat Pack edition, the regular DVD. I did have the Steelbook, and now I have the 40th anniversary edition. But the one I've always wanted to pick up was the Japanese version, because it's a 6-disc set, I think.
Really?
Yeah, it's a 6-disc set. It has all the documentaries, all the features, pretty much every single thing like that's ever been made for that. But I think that it was made a while ago, so the updated features on the 40th anniversary kind of might make that a little outdated. But it's still a feature, like, or still a box set that I'd love to pick up one of these days.
Dude, that's awesome. Like, to me, the more features, the better. Like, there's a Creepshow 2 edition out where it's like, I think it's like a 3-disc set as well. Man, I would kill for that.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, would you agree that Martin needs a box set?
Dude, I actually own a bad bootleg of Martin. It's really shitty. It's like a VHS quality bootleg. By the way, this is what I was looking for. My George Romero signed copy of Dawn of the Dead. This is like my prized Blu-ray possession right now, just because, I mean, rest in peace, George. Obviously you can't get these autographs anymore. But yeah, man, it's my favorite movie signed by the director. So man, it's really cool. I can't wait till if they get that movie on 35 millimeter, I would like to send to heaven. They've yet to show Dawn of the Dead. They've yet to show any Romero movies at this all night horror fest thing.
They need to.
They should, man. I agree. They showed like Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, and what was the one he did with Argento? It was like the anthology movie. What the hell was the damn name of it?
I don't know. I'm not really familiar with all that Argento stuff.
It's a double. It was like a double. It was like an anthology. It was like he did one and the other, and Argento did the other. I can't. It was
Beyond. No, the Beyond is.
Oh no. I don't know. I'm drawing a blank. It'll come to me. But I also have this. This is from freaking
one DVD that I'm scared to have in my collection.
Dude, this Blu-ray is chock full of stuff, man. You got 2 discs. No, actually, I'm sorry. You have 3 discs, and it comes with a goddamn like soundtrack CD. It comes with this awesome.
Oh yeah, I was gonna let you know. Oh, that's sick. Oh, I love the old school artwork that did that. How I had like a compilation of different stuff. But I was gonna say, Last House on the Left actually got a CD release. So
Really?
pretty cool. Yeah, and I love that soundtrack. So, it's goofy. But,
Dude,
I love
everybody
it.
hates on the music of that movie. But there are like 3 or 4 songs in it that are like legendary to this day. Like Wait for the Rain and The Road Leads to Nowhere.
That's like one of my favorite songs is probably Wait for the Rain. It's a beautiful song.
I like
Grim song.
I like Now You're All Alone. That
Oh yeah. Not Wait for the Rain, that song. Now You're All Alone. That's
You're All
probably,
Alone. Right? I mean, it to this day gives me chills. I'm really excited for that Blu-ray. Like that's gonna be a really fun movie night for me.
yeah. Luckily I picked up a I think John might have disconnected. Or hopefully my internet just didn't disconnect. Let me check real quick, guys. Hopefully I'm still alive. Yeah, I should be still alive. John, you there? All right. Well, it says I'm still alive. I assume I'm live. I really, really hope I am. Last Sparrow, if you're still watching, let me know if I'm live because there's been times where the stream has shut off and okay. Okay, I think the stream's still on. Yeah, I just got a message from John. Let me resend him. Okay, there's John. There he is. Let's say. I thought my internet disconnected. I'm like, oh great. You there, John? I can't hear you. Your audio. I can see you, but I can't hear you. I feel like Mike in the Blair Witch Project. Tell me where you are, Josh. Where are you, John? Tell me where you are. We are having technical difficulties right now.
I may or may not have figured out.
Oh, I heard
I
it
hear
was.
you now.
Okay. I hear you.
What the hell happened?
I have no clue. I thought because sometimes during the broadcast my internet shuts off, so that happens, and I'm like, are we live? Are we not? It said that my internet's still on, so I'm like,
Dude, it was totally frozen. Then I couldn't hear you, and then I don't know what the hell happened.
All right. Well, now we've got everything back on.
Too sweet.
Too sweet. That got me off guard. What were we even talking about? I can't remember now.
We were talking about just like awesome Blu-ray releases and shit.
Oh yeah, true. Well, Screen Factory's the best. I think that they do the highest quality stuff. I just wish it wasn't so pricey sometimes, but I do understand that for them to get those interviews, documentaries, and featurettes made, it takes a lot of effort to do that. But man, it makes it so because they make them so fast and they sell really fast, and then if you wait longer, they cost more, and then so I've never really been able to pick up too many Scream Factory releases. I do have Phantasm 2, and dude, that Phantasm 2 documentary on that, or I think it's a documentary, dude, it's such a freaking awesome thing. It's like a 30, I don't know. It'd be like, is that featurette like 30 minutes, 40 minutes, something like that?
I guess it's like half feature length.
Yeah, something like that.
75 minutes.
Yeah. But like it covered a lot of stuff about that movie, and also Funhouse. Decent movie, pretty fun. Got a lot of features in that one too.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I like these Grindhouse releasing Arrow, of course, Scream Factory. Scream Factory's really run out of titles to me. I'm dying for a Martin release. Like whenever America comes out with that, I'm gonna get that. Like that's my next one I really want. This Last House on the Left one I'm really looking forward to as well though. So I mean, I have that to look forward to with the World of Horror Blu-rays because that's gonna be badass. That's like one of my top 10 favorite horror movies of all time. I would just love that movie.
Martin.
Well, Martin and Last House on the Left, they're actually both in my top 10.
They're both really good movies. Definitely really good movies. Martin actually surprised me because I was like thinking like, maybe it'd be an okay movie. No, it's actually a really like for the time that was made. That's a very emotional movie. You think about it. There's stuff in that movie that is really deep, and Man, that's like one of the more really serious Romero movies. If you think about it, Night kind of had that as well, where it's like haunting things like, ooh, this ain't a happy ending. This is as dark as you can get,
Yeah, and I love John Amplis in the role. I just love everything about that movie. I love the opening kill. Just some of the shit, some of the dialogue and that like retro gothic, those memories and flashbacks he has to his past self or his former life. You never really know for sure what it is, but it's so well done and it's so creepy. That's like Romero's hidden gem to me. Like nobody fucking talks about that movie, and it bothers me to this day. Yeah, I got a shitty bootleg copy of it, so I'm dying for that Blu-ray release. Like whenever that comes out, I'll have it pre-ordered the day I hear about it.
Yeah, I know that it does. I haven't really ever heard about that movie, and I was like, I've always loved discovering movies that are kind of unknown. That's how I found. Chainsaw Massacre had the documentary. I can't remember if it was A Family Portrait or anything else, but it was one of them where talked about movies, exploitation movies from the 70s, and talked about like I drink your blood and I eat your flesh, and I mentioned children shouldn't play with dead things, and they mentioned the director, and like, oh, that's the guy who made freaking A Christmas Story and Black Christmas. Like, okay, I recognize the director's name, and then I checked that out, and that also does have a pretty bad DVD release. Honestly, a pretty decent movie. You look at it, it's the most simplest movie ever, and the weirdest kind of concept, but and a low budget movie. But I actually thought it was pretty good for what it was. It's not great by any means, but it's pretty good for what it is. It's I guess a time waster, but I've always been interested in seeing Dario Argento movies. I just can't really find them anywhere. I want to get more into him. I want to get more into the kind of Italian horror films and stuff like that. And Fulci is also a director I was wanting to get into. Those are two big ones.
I could give you so many Italian horror movies you should watch. Like you'd get blue in the face, or I'd get blue in the face just telling you. There are so many good ones. House by the Cemetery would be one I'd really recommend. Yeah. City of Living Dead, The Beyond. Those are the Fulci classics. The New York Ripper is really good. Suspiria, of course. Phenomena with Jennifer Connelly, who's beautiful in it. And Donald Pleasance, who's in it as well. Deep Red, which is fucking great too. I love Deep Red. Opera. I mean, anything.
Is Bay of Blood? Is Bay of Blood Italian?
Yes, that's Bava.
Dario Bava, yeah.
Mario Bava, yeah.
Mario Bava.
It's me, Dario, Mario.
Dario Bava.
Same shit, different.
Santana.
Dario and Waluigi,
Oh goodness.
Yeah, some of the shit that comes to my brain. See, when you're as young as we are and you watch the genre, there's a lot of pop culture shit that we grew up with that these people that grew up in the 80s don't get. Like, they wouldn't get that one at all. They'd be like, what? Like, what is that? You're speaking a different language to me. That's why I like being a young horror fan, because you can relate it. Same thing with the Elias reference. Like, I know Brian got it, but I'm sure if you don't watch current wrestling, you would not know what the hell I'm talking about.
Like Elias? Who's Elias?
Dude, man, that guy is so over. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think he's got a great career ahead of him. He's going to be doing good. I think he should have beat Seth.
I wonder where you can go with that, though. Like, it's a comedic character. Like, I don't know. Like, okay, it's over, but how do you put him in a world title feud without it kind of being funny? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it has to be more serious to work as a champion.
Yeah, I know. I think it'd be really risky though, because you get him in there with Brock Lesnar or Roman Reigns. You know how Vince books things.
Yeah,
I don't.
I think
I don't know, man.
Deathly for his career. Like, I think a Roman Reigns feud would be really good, but I think he'd have to win it, and you'd have to take him a lot more serious in the feud. Like, it'd be funny if he made fun of him on the guitar for a while, but like once the match time comes, I feel like I don't know how seriously you can take him. I honestly think The original plan, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but the original plan was to do Elias versus Cena. That was the
Mhm.
original WrestleMania plan. Because if you watch Raw 25, you would say that's what they're building towards. Because they had The Undertaker on Raw 25, they had John Cena on Raw 25. They did not mention each other once or acknowledge each
I
other
heard
once.
that show. I heard that show was really bad. I didn't see
Dude,
it,
it was
but
horrendous. And people dropped like $400 to go to that Manhattan Center. They got like two fucking ambiguous promos and a match with like the Balor Club versus the Revival.
yeah,
$400 for that.
any
Jesus.
matches pretty much were throwaway, and that's how
Yeah,
they.
Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy had a match, but it was
Oh
like
yeah,
it's
yeah. But also, what are your thoughts on the fact that WWE, I noticed, are starting to do this interesting thing where maybe they're trying to move away from pay-per-views and start focusing on like just events. Like they had the Greatest Royal Rumble, which I heard was trash, but then they had which the only thing I've heard about the Greatest Royal Rumble is that Braun Strowman won a title that he never is going to be wearing ever, and it's like pointless to even have that. But he won a trophy, a title. He became the greatest Royal Rumble winner, and also Titus O'Neil, you know, his botch, which is like the most hilarious botch. And Corey's reaction is just freaking great, man. Like that was the greatest botch I've ever witnessed in my life. But what are
yeah.
your thoughts on them like doing that in the Australian show? And it's not really canon if you think about it. It's not
It's
canon really to the stories.
it's nice. I mean, I didn't dislike the Greatest Royal Rumble. I know a lot of people. I didn't actually hear too much negative, but until what you just said, I think it was pretty good. And I think the doing the special events in these like Australia or whatever, I think it's nice because it gives those fans a chance to say, hey, this is a big event. This means something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in a house show only has so much, until it loses its luster. Like a house show at the Garden is great because you're going to get a big match because it's the fucking Garden. That's
Mhm.
where WWF or WWF, if you really want to get technical, was born. I mean, I know ROH was trying to run a show in there this upcoming month, I believe, and Vince
Mhm.
shot it down. He's like, nope, that's my arena. That's how crazy important the Garden is to those people. So with that being said, I think that it's nice for these certain places to get that Garden house show type feel, and it's like an event. I don't know if they're going to ever get away from pay per views. I don't think that'd be. I think what you could do is cut the number down. There's no reason to have the amount of pay per views they have now. Like it's way too many.
Yeah, I was gonna say that too. Like, I think for a while I was looking at it as it would just give them more time for Brock Lesnar to come back because I'm not really sure if he wants to come back yet or not. And but I think that I do agree with you, man. You made a good point. I like the fact that it's in Australia. I didn't personally see the Greatest Royal Rumble. I'm not saying it's trash. I haven't seen it yet, but I just heard that was just what I heard, mainly about. But um, I thought that the interesting things, like it does bring the show to different countries and introduces them to a lot of things. But I think the interesting stuff about those things is that they kind of, first of all, they're non-canon, so really you're not getting like stories involved with them. It's just matches, which is fine with me. But the one thing I didn't really like though about the upcoming Australian one is that I just feel like it's an attempt to maybe introduce the audience to WWE, but also I feel like it was kind of done because maybe it would give Brock a little bit more time to relax and wait to come back. But I don't know. Maybe it wasn't, but that was just kind of the vibe I got when Vince McMahon just kind of announced it. I was like, oh, well, that's out of nowhere. I was like,
Yeah, I don't know what they're gonna end up doing. I'm thinking Brock is just gonna lose it at SummerSlam because of the whole UFC thing. But like, I don't know who you
yeah,
have him. I would just have him face
dude,
Rollins.
Vince McMahon's booking right now, I think, is it's so confusing to follow because they build on feuds that don't do anything, and also it's like with Brock Lesnar, that whole past 2017 year was to build up the F5 and the spear, and at last minute, Vince McMahon changed his mind about it and was like, hey, you're not going to drop the belt to Roman Reigns. You're actually And you know, that thing was a whole big mess and really killed a match. It could have been great. I was actually looking forward to that match way more than Roman versus Triple H. That was just awful. But
I
I
agree.
was really
I agree with that 100%, man. The people that shit on the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match did not watch the Triple H Roman Reigns match. Like that was
yeah,
way worse than I did
it's
not think that the
terrible.
Triple H. I did not think the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar from this past year was that bad. It's just the fans who really hate Roman. I don't really hate Roman. I kind of behind the guy, to be honest. The initial like 2015 when he won the Rumble, that was very much forced. But now, I mean, he hasn't been champion in over 2 years. He works good matches. He has a great look. I just think people are just sometimes the wrestling fan base can become very toxic. And I think Roman Reigns is just one of those times where they're like, we don't want him to be the guy to move us along, and we will chant, we want beach ball and disrespect the workers in the ring whenever he's out there. And that's totally the wrong way to look at it. It just is. Like if people didn't like The Rock back when he was, they would chant, "Die, Rocky, die." That's totally fine, but you don't chant for other people on purpose just to spite Roman Reigns, man. What did Roman Reigns ever do to them? I just don't get it, man. Listen, he could he have been booked better, sure, but I don't think I don't think the fans are being fair. I think the fans are ridiculous. They're not giving any chance for him to do anything good, and that's really
Yeah,
sad because I like to think of the wrestling fan base as a great fan base. But what they're doing with Roman Reigns and Jinder Mahal, that whole thing at Money in the Bank, and just chanting, CM Punk and
yeah. I
chanting,
couldn't believe that, man. I'm a big fan of Jinder Mahal. Really big fan of Jinder Mahal.
yeah, I don't understand what is your purpose? Do you
Yeah,
is their purpose? I don't want to see Roman Reigns anymore in any capacity. Like what if that's the case,
question.
then there's something wrong with you, man. Like what do you have against
Yeah.
Roman Reigns?
Uh, well, you know, I kind of used to really. Okay, so here's my history of Roman Reigns, real quick. I'm not gonna make a big story out of it, but 2015 kind of came back to WWE. Really big fan of Roman Reigns. I was like the only guy who was cheering when he won the Rumble. I actually really liked Roman Reigns in the beginning. Started cutting promos and really rocky, but hey, he's still green. You know, let's give him a couple of years to really nourish. And I actually really loved the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match at WrestleMania 31. I thought the intensity in that match was there. I was one of the only few people cheering for Roman. I at the time I hated it when Seth cashed in, but ultimately I just Seth Rollins is one of my favorite wrestlers. So, and that was just when I was, I guess, given into kayfabe, that type of thing. But I think the year that really made me hate Roman was 2016. And like I told my friend, I do broadcast with a lot about wrestling. It's not Roman's fault. The guy tries his best. I feel like Roman Reigns could be a CM Punk on the microphone. People say, "Oh yeah, he's got awful promo skills." I'm like, no, I think it's just WWE tried to make him such an artificial character that he was reading these scripts and reading these lines and he was trying to focus on not messing up. But you give that guy a microphone and you let him go out there and make his own promos, that guy could produce some really great stuff. I know that a lot of the fans just hate Roman Reigns just to hate him. The only reason that I might have beef now with him, like back in 2016, I absolutely hated the character because I'm like, this guy is just a horrible. It was terrible. 2017, same thing with the Royal Rumble, him coming in number 30 after being beat earlier in the night. I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous. I mean, are you serious?
That
But
was
then,
funny.
yeah, it's just like after that, though, they tried to do some stuff with him. John Cena versus Roman Reigns, I was really behind that match. I do agree with you. Roman is a good performer in the ring. I think he's a good character. I just think that Roman needs to become a little bit more of himself in that ring. And he also, I think, is really overdue for a heel turn. And that's what everybody's wanting. I understand that that's not going to probably save everything, but with that heel turn, there's just so much you could do with that. And he's like, when he was in like NXT and wherever he came, developmental, and he was cutting those heel promos, like those was really good. And I just think Roman could do so much more than let him do. But where I stand right now, Roman is doing really good because I like the idea of them tying it in with Brock and mentioning the match endings and stuff like that. I think right now Roman is good, but he just needs a little bit of tweaking. I'm not going to sit here and say I hate the character and I'm cheering or I'm booing with the fans, but I can't sit there and say like Roman is like the perfect character right now. He obviously needs some tuning up, but I do agree with you. I think Roman's a great talent regardless. You know?
Yeah, and I just feel bad for the guy. Like, he's a good
Yeah.
guy. I've watched his real interviews and stuff. Like, I think he's a good guy, man. I feel really sympathetic for him. I do. And I just don't like that the fans go to this extreme. Like, it's not cool to, it's
It
cool
really
to
is.
boo. It's cool to chant, Roman sucks. I'd rather them chant that. But to chant for other people and to chant for beach balls just because is totally not what being a wrestling fan is all about. Like I went to the Coliseum for Raw a few weeks ago, and it was just like they were good all the way up until the main event where Roman came out, and then you saw beach balls, and then you saw the other chants and all this stuff like that. It's disheartening. You're like, why do we got to shit on this match? We got three good talents in the ring. They're going to put on a really good main event, which they did. They put on a really good main event, and they just shit all over it because they don't want Roman. They don't like Roman. Really? So you shit on Finn Balor because of that. You shit on Sami Zayn, and you shit on Roman Reigns. It's just I wish they weren't like that. I feel like you can boo all you want, but the minute you start chanting, "We want a beach ball," to me, that's totally missing the point of being a wrestling fan. And I think it's a very toxic environment when that happens. Because if I caught that beach ball, I would have fucking popped it. And I would have been called an asshole, but I don't give a shit. They're assholes. That's just my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
know.
it's very
I agree with you,
disrespectful
man.
to ignore somebody who's working their ass off for your entertainment, for your pleasure, and to say, "Oh, we're going to play with a beach ball because we don't like that Vince tried to push this guy."
Absolutely.
What? What kind
I think
of
it's
mentality
ridiculous.
is that?
When you do that, what they don't realize when you do that and you play around with the characters and you're cheering this guy and you're booing this guy who's supposed to be a face and this guy's supposed to be a heel, you're kind of making that guy's job really, really hard because a heel is supposed to get a boo reaction. You give him a face reaction, usually it gets him a lot of heat, or maybe the creative thinks that maybe he's not doing anything right, and you get these confusions going on. Oh, and Steve's in the broadcast. What's up, Steve?
Steve!
What's up, brothers? How you doing?
Dude, we're doing well. How you doing?
Oh, living the life, man. Living the life. And also realizing that I've got my hand covering the camera. How you guys doing?
We're doing good, man. We're talking wrestling.
Yeah, we're talking about wrestling.
Nice. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever.
Righty. We're just talking about a certain individual, Roman Reigns. Very controversial subject when it comes to wrestling, I guess. But like I said, John, Roman, it's not his fault, and I thought it was really ridiculous when back in like 2016 or 17, it was his birthday, and I was along with everybody else who was saying happy birthday and everything, and then there were these guys saying, "Oh yeah, happy birthday to like the worst champion ever," and then it got trending, and then before you know it, there was thousands of people saying that, and then like there was that time where the death threats were trending, and I'm like, dude, this is ridiculous, man. Like, why are people saying this guy death threats just because they don't like him as a character? Like,
it's the snowball effect. When people really dislike something on the internet, especially, it snowballs into this big thing where everybody just jumps on everybody else's opinion and they don't use their own goddamn brain to think for themselves. And then that's when it becomes so toxic. It's a shame. It really is a shame because I don't like to see wrestling fans, horror fans, any kind of fans being that negative for no reason other than the fact just despite the talent involved and despite the people involved. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a fan of the guy personally. I
Yeah.
think he's a good worker. I think he's a good look, and I think it's just a shame that these fans want to just boo him, or not even just boo him, but to cheer for other people during his match
Yeah.
despite him.
It kind of ruins the whole mystique of wrestling. Like when you do that, you're messing around with the whole flow of the show, you know?
Yeah, like I have no problem cheering a heel, booing a babyface. Like that's okay. You can cheer who you want to cheer for, but like to me, to cheer for a beach ball or to cheer for somebody who's not in the match,
Yeah. Or even employed.
Territory where I'm like, then why are you here? Then why did you pay a ticket to come see this if you can't play with a beach ball? You can play with a beach ball in your backyard. Blow it up and play a volleyball with it. I don't know. It's just
you remember when they had that trend going on Twitter, like Beach Ball Mania? It was running like to like the #1 spot or something like that. I don't know if it got #1, but it was like that. Whenever they mentioned WrestleMania, they said no, it's Beach Ball Mania. I'm like, dude, come on, man. We're trying to watch a show here, you know? It's like crazy. Steve's kind of like, oh goodness. Sorry, Steve.
No, man, no. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I've just been so out of the loop on wrestling lately. I don't get any of the channels that it's on, and I don't subscribe to the network, so I don't know nothing going on right now.
That's
okay.
I'm
kind of. Yeah, it was just a quick little discussion we had
about. We bounced around tonight, Steve.
Yeah.
We've talked about Friday the 13th. The plan was to talk about Friday the 13th Part 5 and Halloween 3. And then, of course, we talked about the new Halloween trailer. We talked about the entire Friday the 13th series. We talked about wrestling up and down. Oh, my gosh. We haven't – there's
Italian
nothing we haven't discussed. We've discussed it all.
Yeah, this title for this broadcast is looking very misleading.
Yeah, Jesus
Hopefully
Christ.
I don't get a lawsuit.
What are you going to title this thing?
I don't know. Currently, I have no freaking idea what it's going to be called. I hope I don't get a lawsuit for false advertisement.
Oh, shit. That would be – well, I mean, we do talk about those things. Which
yeah.
Is a lot of rambling and horror roundtable-esque topics in between, which is always
it's
fun.
live and also, like, it's not – I'm not even worried about that. I was just kidding around, but – if that even were to be brought out, we're like, yeah, let's non-profit. So, you know.
And, like, I don't know if you guys have seen an episode of The Sausage Factory lately, but 90% of it is talking about fast food or breakfast cereal. So, like, and it's just as fascinating, just they're talking about.
That's the key. Like, that's the sign of people that are entertaining to listen to is the fact that if they can make something that's not interesting. Like just talk about McDonald's for 20 minutes. If it's interesting coming out of their mouths, it's a great time because that means anything they talk about is interesting. That's the way I felt about Dead Pit. Like anything Dead Pit talked about, it was interesting.
Exactly.
They talk about like bowel movements, and I was like, ew. But it was just so funny and entertaining, and I was just like, yo, I can't get enough of this. Why do I like this so much, you know?
Oh, man.
Yeah. That's how I am when I watch them, too, man. I'm just like, man, they're talking about so many things, but I'm like, it's still great, you know?
They're my favorite, man. I really miss them. I'm so glad I got to be a part of that final episode. Like, that's so cool to me that, like, forever I'm on that final episode. Like, that's so cool to me.
Oh, yeah. It's great. I don't know if you've listened to their like they've done like 3 or 4 episodes that are just kind of like one-off episodes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Those are all right, but they don't talk about the same type of stuff or anything. I mean, I think I think both of them are kind of like you know, they think probably like they just kind of lost interest in the subject matter and stuff like that, and you can do that really easily. So.
Yeah, they're both just burnt out. That was the reason they had to end it because the genre is in such a bad spot now that it was just time to pull the plug. Because that show, the genre was booming when that show debuted, and for the 10 years it was on, it just gradually the genre. You saw the decline in the show and the decline in the genre. It's almost reminiscent of both. Like that's why it's so interesting to watch that show, because you're like, if you listen to a show from 06, 07, you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. And they're talking about what's going to happen when Rob Zombie's Halloween hits theaters. You're just like, oh my God, I know the answer to that, and they're taking calls and, oh, it's going to be better than the original, man, and now it's really just, it's amazing to listen back to it, but maybe this new Halloween movie is going to create that kind of buzz,
Oh yeah. Actually, like, speaking of kind of like the state that the genre's in, I think it's in a better state than it was when Dead Pit left.
Yeah, that's
true.
Oh yeah.
Because it's kind of like, they're not coming out like they used to, one every week or stuff like that, one every couple weeks. But it's stuff that's few and far between, but most of the stuff is pretty good quality as far as stuff hitting the theaters, at least. Sarah and I just got movie passes, so we're going to be, or at least I'm going to be going to a lot of the horror releases that come out. Probably, I'm interested in seeing what Hereditary does. And
I saw it.
Any good?
I'll be honest, man. I would say totally average movie. I would say 5 out of 10. The theater I saw it in, everybody was kind of laughing at it. But I've heard reviews where people, oh, it's the scariest movie of all time. I don't agree with that. I don't know where they get that from. Kind of in the middle with it. I thought it was really well directed, but it has a story and a substance that's very all over the place. I won't even say convoluted. It's just all over the place. Like where you start as opposed to where you end is just completely like mind-boggling.
Kind of sounds like me watching Creepshow 3.
No, Creepshow 3 is just bad all the way through. This movie had parts of good stuff, but Creepshow 3 is my least favorite horror movie. Like I've come to the decision that is the biggest.
Is Creepshow 3 even a movie? Like, is that even? Can we even put that in the category of a film?
Dude, the worst story is that guy who like he buys a hot dog, drops it, and then he decides to he gives it to a bum, and like the bum comes back after choking on the hot dog to death and haunts him. Like when I saw that, and it's 100% serious. It's not trying to be funny. I was like, yo, the genre is like really like, this movie is just really bad. Like this is bottom of the barrel bad. You have a guy haunting somebody because he choked to death on his hot dog.
Oh man.
Yeah, we need to do a discussion on that like one day. Like just do a whole show about Creepshow 3.
I would like to have the directors on and just ask them like, what
were you
thinking?
Like,
how did you get the rights
from them? Like, okay, did you guys set up a lemonade stand and just get the budget for this movie? It's like, hey, we're trying to get funds for this movie. We'll do anything. Let's just sell as much lemonade as we can. Like,
they spent all their money on the rights and then just no money on anything else. Like it's so horrendously bad.
I don't get it. If I owned the rights to Creepshow and they showed me that script, I would never freaking do that. I would never give them a freaking idea to make that movie.
Oh, me neither. I'm 100% with you. But dude, I'm kind of getting tired, so I think I'm gonna actually hop off. I'm sorry that it's just right into Steve's getting on. But
it's totally fine, man.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm a little tired. I'm like barely keeping my eyes open.
I know that, man. I worked until like 3 yesterday morning, so it was.
That sounds horrible. That sounds really horrible. What's that, Nate?
I said, never will I ever.
Oh, you will. When you need money, you'll work the craziest of hours there are, man. I've worked a lot of night shifts in my life, so I know where Steve's coming from. I for a while I was like, what's that?
You will Papa John's like a mother lover is what you're gonna do. Like you're gonna deliver friggin' pizzas to fat people that like do not wear shirts, and it's just gonna be your life, man.
Dude, I did Chinese delivery for a while. Man,
no,
you come across some weird people. I had one guy come to the door, no shirt, and he had like nipple piercing. He had piercings like everywhere.
Oh goodness!
And obviously like black eye makeup. He was like, "Hello, I was like, hello. And he went to grab it, and I said, do you have money? He goes, oh, I have to go get it. How much is it again? And he comes back and like gave me all singles. He just like counted them very slowly. I was like, this is weird. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Security
Hey,
guard
boss,
is much more
I
better
ran
job
Buffalo
for
Bill.
me. You want to put on a shirt or take out your like 30 piercings on your belly? Like it's nasty as shit.
But keep that wiener tucked between those legs, man. Keep
Hey,
it.
at least he was wearing pants, I guess, right?
Like
All right, man.
Dude, Nate, I want to say I had a blast talking with you. 2 hours of wrestling, horror, boobs, blood, mayhem, and all
All
that.
the good stuff, man. All the
Dude,
good stuff.
I had a great time. Thank you so much for having me. This was nice because my podcast has been gone for a while now. So I mean, it was really nice to kind of let all my shit I've been bottled up inside let go and let roam free. So
That's
I
what
really
these are about,
appreciate it.
man.
Thank you
That's
for the
no problem,
platform.
man.
I appreciate it. Steve, I'm sorry this is so brief, but it was good seeing you too. And if you do see Hereditary, send me a message. Let me know how what you thought of it.
I'll let you know, man. I'll let you know.
Awesome. All right, guys, all the viewers, listeners, followers, subscribers, rock on, rock out, and have a good night, fellas.
Later, brother.
Night,
Peace.
Steve. Thanks for being on the podcast or broadcast, man. Call it podcast. So, Steve, now that you have joined the broadcast, I kind of don't know where we're gonna go from here.
Well, I don't know. Like, I can probably stay here till around 12:30 or something like that.
Alrighty.
And then, but hey, whatevs. I don't know where we're gonna go with it. I've got Friday the 13th Part 5 playing in the background right now, just because we were you all were talking about it. I was like, oh, well, I'll throw it on the background.
Nice. That's a well. We were talking about all kind of stuff, but we also discussed a really interesting thing that I kind of want to get your thoughts on because John brought it up and it was a really good point. So, like, do you think? Because I think John said that Part 6 was actually his least favorite out of all the Paramount movies. But would you feel that Part 6 is slightly overrated? I would even agree with John about that. And I also agree with some people that are Part 5 fans. Also, Part 5 merch, got it on right now. Pretty awesome representing.
Mm.
But would you agree with what John said, though, about maybe Part 6 being a little overrated? I agree with him.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, I would agree that, yeah, it is overrated because I think there's a lot of people, or there are a lot of people who find it to be kind of their fan favorite. And the thing about it is there's not a whole lot special about it on a regular kind of film level. I mean, in fact, it's kind of unremarkable as far as the story's concerned, the character development, and the characters, and the writing's relatively good for what it does, but it doesn't do a whole lot. I think it's a pretty well directed movie visually. Maybe a little bit bland, but there's no nudity. There's a lot of really good kills. That's one of the good things about Part 6. And I think that's probably where a lot of people come from when they talk about Part 6 being their favorite, because there are a number of really good kills in there. Part 6 is probably one of my favorites, mostly because of kind of a nostalgia factor. I mean, that's the first Friday the 13th movie that I saw.
Oh, wow.
So that's kind of like my nostalgia thing for it.
That's kind of the same thing with me in Part 5.
Oh, yeah. Well, it'll always hold a special place in my heart. And that's the first horror movie that Sarah and I ever watched together. She doesn't like it, which is okay. But yeah, like, I don't know. It's not a great movie, but there are some pluses to it. I mean, I think there are really good kills. I like kind of in places it has really good cinematography. In other places, not so much. More just kind of like bland shooting. It's got a great soundtrack. The soundtrack's really good as far as the rock music that Alice Cooper contributes to it, and there's another band that contributes to it that I can't remember the name of, but That's good. I like Tom Matthews as Tommy. I think he's good. In fact, um, I think John Shepard's the best Tommy. But I don't think there's really been a bad quote unquote Tommy character.
Yeah, true.
But I don't know. It's fun to me, but yeah, I would say it's definitely overrated.
Yeah, I was saying the same thing. I consider it to be one of my favorites, but it's always been a movie that, I can have fun with it and everything like that, but I've kind of had a little bit of beef with that and part four because, back in the day when I would say that I love part five, people would be like, oh, well, why would you like part five? Part six and four are obviously better. So I kind of had that always happening. And, you look at it, part five got kind of put in a bad position because it was placed in between two of the most popular entries. Like part six and four are always the ones that you hear from fans. They're always like, "Oh yeah, I absolutely love this movie, and it's the greatest movie in the series." Some people it's part six, some people it's part four, but I've always thought that they're good movies. I love them to death, but I do see where he's coming from about that. But
Mm.
really quick though, since this is about it was about part five and also Halloween 3. What are your thoughts on part five, A New Beginning of the
Uh,
film?
well, so I really like part five, or at least like aspects of part five that make it like close to the top of my list if I were to do a Friday the 13th list. Um, it's got elements that I really love. Like I'm just now on the screen right now is like Ethel and Junior, and those are their names, right? Ethel and Junior.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah. They're hilarious, and that's one of the really good aspects of
Oh,
this
they're great,
movie
dude.
because there's really strong, like, funny characters in this movie. There's pretty good character development. You care about at least a few of the characters. There's some shocking stuff. More graphic, like the kills aren't graphic, but they're shocking.
Yeah,
That axe to the head
the
that like the
shears, the
bald guy
belt.
gets, that's I think about that regularly. Like that's a good kill, and a pretty like straight up one.
Did you
Um,
like the belt kill and the shears?
oh
They're
yeah.
pretty brutal too.
Now I mean, and with that, like I think it's got probably up there with the first and second one. I think as far as the best score to any of the
Oh
movies.
yeah. Oh, I forgot to mention that with John. I love the score to the movie.
Um, but yeah, the score to part five is great. Um, a lot of the acting I think is really good for a Friday the 13th movie. Like John Shepard is like severely underrated. Um, I don't know. It's memorable. Um, yeah, like Jason's not the killer, but in some respects he kind of is at the same time. There's kind of like a deep aspect going on there, I guess. Um, I don't know. I like a lot of the parts of part five. Um, one thing I do dislike about it is I don't like, and I mean this is something that's just a personal choice, of course, and I've talked about it before. It's just that the thing that really ruins part five for me is that it's the sleaziest one out of all of them. It's like there's just so much nudity, and yeah, like I'm not gonna say like um, Pamela Voorhees is. I'm not gonna say she ain't hot because she is. She's really attractive. She's my like
Did you
obviously
say Pamela Voorhees?
Pamela. Wait, isn't that her
That's
name?
uh
Debbie Sue
Debbie Sue.
Voorhees. Debbie
Debbie
Sue
Sue.
Voorhees.
Pamela.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
was like,
Uh,
wait, what?
Debbie Sue Voorhees is like super hot. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Very attractive. But I have a problem with like the excessive amounts of nudity that are in here. I also have a problem with like that. At least like you can kind of get away with it. It's kind of a Friday trope, But then there's the other chick that just like flashes her boobs in the mirror, which is both stupid and unneeded. Um, but I don't know. I guess I mean that's just who Danny Steinman is. I mean, he
Pretty
was a
nice.
porn director before he did this and stuff like that. But I don't know. There are things I really love about Part Five, and there are some things I just absolutely hate with a passion. But it's pretty close up for my like number. I don't know, 2 or 3 probably, maybe
Yeah.
even 4.
I think the only reason why I pretty much explained it like in a review and many times before, but part five is just a movie that like does a lot of stuff right, and like the fact that it does like a really great atmosphere. I think it has that really awesome feeling that the first five movies had, and I also found it interesting that John said that he really enjoyed the look of like the first five movies and how part six kind of changed it. And I do agree with him on that. I really do enjoy those natural kind of woods and environment and stuff like that. And I think that those first five movies do really well. But you also get like nudity, which could be a plus. Gore, blood, you get some practical effects in there. I think that the kills are just, people have always said they're censored, but like I told John, I've never really got that. I mean, I get the MPAA cut that one kill, which was supposed to be Violet's death scene, which was a little bit questionable one. Also, there was supposed to be an actual, I guess Danny Steinman actually shot a porno scene, but they had to cut it down severely. So you watch that scene, it's like the fastest like sex scene ever filmed. But I know that there was those things cut out, but really, I think like what you said, I think what makes it so awesome is that the ideas and the intensity of the kills and the surprising shockingness of the kills, like the meat cleaver kills. There's one that's off camera, and it's like one of the very few off camera kills that's like really just the way it's shot and the way it sounds just sounds brutal, and him going through the window and boom in the face and then decapitating the guy. And even the one that's based with the hunting knife to the chest, like that's brutal. The belt, the scene where the belt goes in the guy's head, like it has those things. But I've always liked the way that the Roy Jason looked as well. That's something I didn't mention with John. Is that's probably one of my favorite looks for. You can't really say Jason, but it's one of my favorite killer looks out there. The overall, not the overall, the coveralls and the kind of mechanic outfit that Roy is wearing. And I just love the way the mask looks too. The blue mask, not the blue mask, but the mask, the blue chevrons on it. I really like that. But people have always told me that it's because Roy is the killer and they don't really like it. But I'm like, you think about it, it's like it's a guy running around in a hockey mask, killing people in really awesome death scenes. I mean, I was actually one of the very few people that liked the Roy storyline. Most people who are fans of Part Five are just like, "Oh yeah, I can watch it, but I hate that storyline." I'm like, "No, I love it. I think it's a great storyline." And the only thing that bugs me about Part Five, because the nudity doesn't really bother me because oh goodness, it's some good nudity, but also because it is a very kind of sleazy movie. So like I kind of let it get away with it, and it's a Friday the 13th movie, but the death scenes and you can say all that stuff too, the score and all that's great. But I think the one thing that really bugs me about this movie is that how they set up the ending. And John made a good point by saying that Danny Steinman was given this movie to make a brand new storyline after Jason because it was supposed to be the end of Jason's story. And I guess Danny Steinman didn't really have much of a choice here, but I wasn't really a big fan of the ending of how they had Tommy become the next killer. Because I'm like, what are they going to do with that? I mean, how are you going to make this character get bigger than Jason? There's nobody out there who's bigger than Jason. And it's like they've tried before with other killers to try to replace them, and it's like it doesn't really work out so well. So I'm not really a fan of that. I'm not really sure what it would do for the character of Tommy, and I feel like it kind of damaged the character in that movie, and I'm not really a big fan of that. I told John, I'm like, the best thing they could have done was have Tommy you could have the dream sequence where he kills Pam, and when I watched that, it was a very shocking moment. It's like, oh wow, it's holy crap. You could have that scene, but then have it to where he wakes up. You can do the cliche sunrise, beautiful sunny morning, and where Tommy finally looks at Jason and he beats him. And here, he beats Jason in his head, and the hallucinations go away. You could do all that and just have Tommy, and Pam, they unite, and they it's happily ever after. You could do that. I know it sounds cliche, but I'd take that more than Tommy being the killer. I just think that that's a ridiculous idea. Like, what is he going to do as the killer? He's another human. He's not as big as Jason. He's not as popular as Jason. Like, what could Tommy do? It's like Tommy was your one character who could fight Jason and survive to the next movie and like be involved with the plot line. But it's like they kind of threw that away and they made him the killer. But and then also it was the calls for when Part 6 came out, just completely disregarded Part 5. So, I guess I'm really frustrated with that. But overall, Part 5 is a really underrated movie.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And like to kind of hit on one of the things that you were talking about, kind of the visual style, is that this kind of hits an interesting area in Friday the 13th visually, I think, because Steinman is a really, really good visual director. There's a lot of shots in here that are just really, really nice. I'm thinking particularly about like most of the cast out front of the house, and they do that kind of it's almost a Vertigo shot, but not quite. But I like that. But here's the thing about the visual is that it's kind of halfway between this sort of almost cliched 80s look that 6, 7, and 8 got. There's a little bit more like, and it progressively gets this way. Like the most 80s looking Friday the 13th movie is definitely Part 8 because there's all the neon.
Oh yeah.
There's the neon and like everything's kind of slick. And,
I think John mentioned that he loved that about that movie.
Oh yeah, and I love that about that movie. Like that's my favorite. Well, there are like two things I love about that movie. That's like kind of the visual quality of it, and I love the opening like song and the opening sequence. It's just
true.
I know, it's great. I agree. It's great, and everything that they actually shoot in real New York in that movie also great. But also, they increasingly get that way. Like Part 6 has a little bit more like neon and stuff like that than a lot of the ones in like 1 through 5 did. But this kind of, to me, in a way, starts that because you've got some, kind of some of the stuff that you see with the character that gets killed by the axe. Ed, Bob, name or something like that.
Joey?
No. He's the first. No, not the first guy that gets killed. The bald-headed guy that does.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He's what you said. I can't remember his name though.
Yeah, but yeah, like you get kind of some neon in that scene, and then it just kind of ramps up as the series goes on. So this is like kind of starting to look kind of 80s as far as the visual style goes. The clothing style is definitely a little bit more 80s in this one. I mean, can you imagine a more 80s character than Demon? Like he's the most 80s individual that you can think of, like in a movie off the top of your head.
Dude, me and John was having some fun talking about that character. It's such a hilarious character, man. Them enchiladas.
Them enchiladas, man. They'll get you.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, that's definitely like one of the most 80s characters. And also, like, you look at it like Violet dancing like that song His Eyes, and she's always listened to really 80s music. It's a very 80s
I
movie.
like shower listening playlist. Whenever I take a shower, I listen to songs like similar to that. I love that song.
I know, it's great. It's awesome.
But yeah. Cool stuff. Cool stuff in part 5. I really like it quite a bit. I'd watch it more often if it wasn't so sleazy, but it has just such good like comedy and such good
Yeah.
kills and uh, pretty good acting and character work and stuff in here. I think it's definitely worth like consideration for kind of like up to pretty close to tops.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what I would say is my favorite Friday the 13th movie anyway. So, um, but
I mean, it's
this is
hard. There's
definitely
a
up
lot of
here.
great movies. There's a lot of great movies, so it's a very hard decision. That's what I thought too. I was like, I'll bounce from 1 to 2 to 3 to 5. Like that's how it is.
Yeah, yeah, good movie. As far as Halloween 3, I mean, I think I like Halloween 3 more than I like Part 5 personally. I'm kind of more of a Halloween guy than I am a Friday the 13th guy. Just kind of for some reason, I just always have been. Um, it's weird because I feel like Friday the 13th is kind of the out of the two is kind of the more 80s series of movies, but for some reason, like Halloween 3 specifically hits me as a particularly 80s horror movie because of like the visual style, and it's like it looks like a John Carpenter movie even though it's not because of
Yeah.
Dean Cundy and well, I mean Carpenter was on set probably for a little bit of the time, or at least was informing um, Tommy Wallace on kind of how to do it. So
What about the Alan Howarth score?
the Alan Howarth and John Carpenter score. Uh, Now, because you got to remember, Carpenter was still involved at this point in scoring the Halloween movies. The first time that Howarth kind of takes over entirely is in
Halloween
Part
4.
4, but in Part 3, you still have kind of Carpenter and Howarth kind of working together. And when they're working together, that's, I think, when they're at their best. Carpenter, I think, is generally pretty good without Howarth, but Howarth is not that great without John Carpenter. Um, and Carpenter, I think, is better when he has Howarth for some reason as well. But anyway,
The dynamic duo.
I think that's probably one of Carpenter's best scores. Definitely one of his most underrated scores. There's just a ton of really good like synth lines in there. Um, like yeah, it's got like the Silver Shamrock thing going on there, but I mean it's thematic. It's supposed to be there, so
That's what I thought about. I was like thinking, but I've heard so many people tell me that Silver Shamrock commercial is like really annoying. But I'm like, yeah, but it's catchy as heck, isn't it? Like, no, it's really annoying. I'm like, no, it's catchy. Both.
yeah, and there's so much good music around that too. People just don't talk about it. And you know, I don't care what people say. I love Tom Atkins in that movie. He's
Oh yeah.
he's playing it so straight too. And that's the great thing about that's what makes Tom Atkins so funny is because he plays everything so straight. Um, I don't know. He's so good. He's so good. And I like Stacey Nelkin in there. I like I can't remember the actor's name that Dan O'Herlihy. I like Dan O'Herlihy in there.
Yeah.
There's
OCP.
just some good stuff in there. I
Yeah,
like that.
the RoboCop guy.
Yeah, yeah. I love that movie. That's like a standard around Halloween for me. It's got a
What's
great
your
atmosphere.
Yeah. Real quick though, what's your thoughts on the reasoning that like most people hate the movie? Like most people I've talked to have said that like they don't like it because Michael Myers not in it. But like, what's your thoughts on that?
I think when you understand the history, you get to like it better. Um,
Yeah.
if you actually understand that, they were gonna do this kind of anthology thing, and it wasn't going to be all Michael Myers all the time. Um, I think that gives you more of an appreciation for it. And when you like get the idea that it's just when you look at it as an actual movie as opposed to being a movie without something, and you look at what it actually does have, you see how original it is. It exposes like its cheesiness as well because you don't have that character to hang on to, but you see its cheesiness, you see the cool visual style, you hear the good music and the nice acting and stuff like that. I mean, it it really is kind of a matter of not looking at it as something without, as opposed to looking at it as like something with certain things that are different. If you look at the differences and you try to be like, oh, well, this is different, but you might notice that it's not necessarily bad. I
Yeah,
mean, I guess I'm having trouble saying what I'm meaning here, but that's kind of what I'm trying to say is that you look at the differences, but look and see for the positive differences, not
yeah,
the negatives.
absolutely. I agree with you, man, 100%.
But for people who really love Michael Myers, hey, if it's just not their movie, it's just not their movie. And
Yeah,
I understand that. But I also think that this is more original than probably. I mean, I'm not saying this is my second favorite in the series next to the first one, because that's not true. But this is up there. And if you look at it, it's more original than anything else out that came around since the first movie. Totally more original than anything that had come out since then. Um, Maybe the more original concept would be something like um, Part 6, but Part 6 ends up kind of being a cluster, whatever. Uh, so,
blank on the blank.
and I'm not saying that I'm not saying that I dislike Part 6 because I actually really like Part 6, but yeah, Part 3 is like very much more original. It's got kind of a definitive style about it that's very similar to the first one and very similar to kind of the John Carpenter films of the era. I don't know. I like it. I like it
Yeah.
a lot.
It's weird because growing up, even though I've never really seen Halloween 3, I used to see, because I talked to John about this, but I used to see the YouTube commercials and stuff. Like I got on YouTube and looked at some clips, and mainly I just found trailers. And if you watch the trailers and you look at the poster and you look at all these different things, there's nothing about this movie that screams Michael Myers other than the Halloween title, you know? And that's the thing is that John brought up is that if you took away the title, you wonder would it be a better accepted movie than with the title Halloween 3? With it, which is called Season of the Witch. I wonder if it would be a different story now.
Oh yeah, but also, would it have its kind of cult status if it weren't a weird entry into a big series like Halloween? Like,
Yeah.
would it, or would it just be kind of considered, along the lines of something like Contamination 7, or I don't know, something like I'm trying to think of would it be more akin to something like Chud or something like that? It's got a cult following, but it's a much smaller cult following than it would have had if it weren't, part of a big series. Since it's part of a big series, you get people from there, and you get people who don't maybe necessarily like that series who want something different. It builds that cult following because it's part of something and is different.
So you ultimately
So
get a bigger audience drawn to it.
yeah, yeah. See,
See where you're
so
coming
I
from.
think that the title is kind of a plus in that respect. And yeah, I mean, maybe during the time that it was put out, it might have done better. But nowadays, I don't think we'd even be talking about it that much
Yeah,
if it weren't a Halloween movie. And I'm
that's a
not
good point.
saying that it's a bad movie, of course. I think
But
it's a
could it
good
could it
movie.
hold its own? Could it, I know it's like, could it hold its own without the Halloween title?
Yeah, exactly. Would it just kind of like fade into the background, even though it actually is really good? You know, um, I don't know. So, but that's not how, you know, that's not how it turned out. Thankfully, it does have the title Halloween 3 Season of the Witch, and it's become a staple for tons of people, like either Halloween Day or right around Halloween to watch because it's got such a big like atmosphere for Halloween. So,
It's just crazy how much the fan base has grown, even from when I first watched it. Because back when I first watched it, and I was really, I was speaking about how I liked it, and I did a review for it, and I got a lot of those. Like I told John, there was two movies that I got really big heat for doing reviews on, and one was a rant on Phantasm 4, and one was a review on Halloween 3. Phantasm 4 I got heat because it's a very popular entry in the Phantasm series. Personally, even though I like the movie, I just think it's decent. But for most people, they say it's their favorite sequel. I personally don't understand that. I kind of get where they're coming from, but I personally had more fun with Phantasm 2 and 3. But when I did my review for Halloween 3, man, it was a lot of backlash from people. And I remember, like, I would get on, like, fan pages and stuff and just say, like, hey, Halloween 3 is a good movie, right? People are like, what are you talking about? You're crazy. And I'm just like, look, a lot of people hate this movie so much. So, I don't know. If the movie has really great stuff to it, I don't see why I would hate it just because of the title. Like, it doesn't matter about that. It matters if it's good. If it was a sucky plot, then I would hate it. It's just like, I'd hate to bring it back up, but I touched like Creepshow 3. If it was a sucky movie, then it sucked. If it was a Creepshow 3 that was good, then it'd be good, but it sucked.
mm-hmm. Exactly. And I mean, I don't know, like, and it kind of makes you just think about the Black Sheep movies in general.
Yeah. Nightmare 2, Chainsaw
Nightmare
Massacre
2.
2.
Yeah, that's weird because I feel like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 shouldn't be a Black Sheep movie, but it kind of is in a
And I
way.
think also part 3 in some ways too, personally. I feel part 3 is criminally underrated.
I mean, so I'm not the biggest Texas Chainsaw Massacre like franchise fan, um, like so. I don't really know how it is, but like to me, it feels like that entire series is kind of black sheep after the
Oh
first one
yeah.
because it's all so disconnected. Like people make a lot about how Halloween is so disconnected as far as like a big group of films because you see all these videos coming out recently about the confusing history behind Halloween and here's the thing is that Texas Chainsaw Massacre has been like and I'm not saying this as a negative towards the franchise because I like at least 4, maybe 5 movies in that franchise. Out of the, I guess, like, what is it, 8 that they put out?
I think so. You got the first 4, two after that, and then 2 after that. So 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I like at least maybe like half of those. So I think that's a pretty good track record. Um, so
I like almost all of them, except
yeah,
for one. One's just too bad to like.
but so here's my thing is that it's been trying to get back to the first one ever since because or to be a sequel to the first one or to be a prequel. That seems to be what it is. It's either a remake, a sequel, or a prequel with every single entry into that franchise. So you've got um, the first one, obviously, classic, great. The second one, sequel to the original, kind of a direct follow up. The third one is kind of like the second one never happened,
Yeah.
but maybe it happened. We're not really sure. So The third one's just kind of almost an anthology entry in a way.
Yeah.
And then the fourth one, correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not seen this one. It's kind of a remake, right?
Well, it's hard to tell what the fourth movie is. The fourth movie, it's weird because it portrays itself as the true sequel to the original, but it also mentions at the beginning of the movie, it says that after the first movie happened, blah, 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 it says that 2 minor incidents happened. So I'm like, 2 minor, 3 and 2? So is that possibly connecting the first 3 sequels? But they don't ever confirm it. And then you watch that movie, it is a remake, but at the same time, they're trying to be a sequel. I don't know.
Okay.
Confusing. It's all over the place.
I'm going to still kind of consider that as part of my theory. And then, of course, you have the remake. And then the prequel to the remake, which also could possibly be a prequel to the original in some ways. And then, like, Texas Chainsaw 3D, I guess, is a sequel.
Direct sequel.
Is it a direct sequel to the remake or a direct sequel to the original?
Direct sequel to the original, I think. And then I think Leatherface is the prequel to 3D, and because they mention I think how it is that the first 4 movies are tied together. Then you have an alternate universe with the prequel and the remake, and then you have another alternate kind of universe where 3D and Leatherface are tied, and they are directly to the first movie. So
yeah, see,
it's really confusing.
I find it like equally, if not more, confusing than the Halloween series.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing necessarily. Like I said, I like at least half of those movies, and I think that's fine. The first one's at least in my top 10 favorite horror movies ever. And the second one, I think, is, at least in my eyes, equally as good, just for a different reason.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, like different reasons.
And then the third movie is fun. Like, it's not great. It's fun, at least in my eyes. I watch that maybe every couple of years or something like that, revisit it, check it out. It's kind of one of those movies that feels almost like it's still in the 80s, even though it's the year 1990. I guess that's just kind of what the year 1990 was like, though. But that, and then, like, 4 I still haven't seen, but I don't know if you know this, but Scream Factory is putting out a Blu-ray of Part 4.
Yeah, that's ridiculous in my opinion. I'm like the one fanboy who's like raising his hand and going, "Hey, I have Part 3 over that." Just saying, like, even though Part 3 is not perfect, I freaking like that a heck of a lot more than Part 4. But yeah, I seen that on Facebook, man. I'm like, this has to be a joke. I'm like, this movie barely has like. It was crazy is that when I did that review, a lot of people that I checked out that really like Part 4, like not just like it, but they love Part 4. I'm like, that's fine and dandy. I will never understand that because there are so many freaking problems with Part 4. It's like an unending amount of problems, but yeah. I don't personally think it deserves a Scream Factory. That's like the one Scream Factory release that should never have like happened ever in the universe ever.
Well, like, so here's the thing: is I was interested because I haven't seen Part 4, and I know it's gonna be bad. That's kind of my thing. I know it's gonna be bad. I've been warned. You've warned me personally, I think. I've seen the reviews online. I know I've seen even some clips, and it just looks so stupid. But at the same time, here's my thing. I will buy it. I might even pre-order it if they can get an interview with Matthew McConaughey. And I don't think they're ever going to get an interview with Matthew McConaughey because even
I think he hates it.
I would imagine so, but
well,
I think
he hates it. Renee Zellweger hates it. Their agents. Okay, so real quick, history lesson on Part 4. But it's like 2 seconds. So like Renee Zellweger's agents and Matthew McConaughey's agent, well, I guess both of them together I think they like basically tag teamed Columbia, which was really releasing the movie. And they said that, okay, Tobey Maguire's coming out, and then Matthew McConaughey, A Time to Kill, was coming out, and they didn't want the movie to come out. They said, you release this movie, we will sue you, and you will be in a big legal mess. So the movie was supposed to come out in 94. So it was shelved, and it came out in 97, direct to video, and I think it only got 10 cinema release like showings of the movie, as well as an alternate cut called The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which I've heard people talk about that. I really don't give a crap. I think the movie is just, and I'm a fan. You know, I'm a fan of the franchise. I'm one of the very few people who like 3D and Leatherface. Those two movies are underrated, but gosh dang, man. As a fan, I'm so offended. I can't keep that fanboy rage away. Like, that movie is just freaking the worst, man.
So, okay, but and here's the thing: is I don't even care if Matthew McConaughey hates it. If I can just see like a video shot by Michael Slipcase Felcher with Matthew McConaughey talking about some stupid movie he did back in the 90s before he did, you know, Days of Confused and A Time to Kill. Like, if I can get that, I would buy it in a heartbeat just for that.
That'd be like the one valuable thing on that Blu-ray, on that whole Blu-ray.
There's supposed to be like alternate stuff on there and stuff like that, but I don't know. Anyway, though, like, yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about the series overall. It's just not my personal favorite, although I do like about half the movies. I especially like not part 3, but Texas Chainsaw 3D, just because it was just fun. It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, and it wasn't bad. It was just
I thought it was okay.
It was like an 80s horror movie. That's all that it was. It was like an 80s slasher movie that just, if it wasn't Leatherface, like, it would have just been another 80s slasher movie.
Yeah, true. I don't know. There's some obvious problems I have with it, but I agree with you, man. It's like, did the movie really do anything that was absolutely terrible? The freaking movie did not dress Leatherface up as a drag queen. Okay, that's all I freaking cared about. Okay, you got him brutally killing people in a house, man. Okay, that's the Leatherface that I know and love. As long as you don't put no drag queen makeup on and make him scream like a little something, then that's all I care about, man. That's all I care about. I have some colorful thoughts on part 4, as you can see.
Yes, I can see. So, part 4 seems to be like the biggest, like, most hated one. And then I guess, I don't know, everything else just kind of seems black sheepish. Maybe at least 2 and 3 are black sheep.
They all have their own audiences.
Yeah. But I don't know, Nightmare 2, that's a big black sheep that I really enjoy.
Exorcist 3.
Yeah, you could say that. Definitely Exorcist 3, because it's legitimately good. Especially the director's cut. I prefer the director's cut.
Now that's a Scream Factory worth picking up that I really want.
It's great, man. Like, there's this really long interview with William Peter Blatty on it that they just turned into a commentary for the director's cut. Oh, it's so good because he talks about everything. He talks about, like, life. So they start out just kind of talking about how he came to, like, write The Exorcist, and then they talk about, like, Exorcist 3 and Ninth Configuration and working on other stuff. but then like they get so deep because they start talking about life and religion and like the way Hollywood is and um, stuff like that. It is
Wow.
such a good interview. Like it's one of those things that I think is gonna be like one of Michael Felsher's best achievements as far as a producer is concerned, like a DVD producer. He asks the right questions. He responds the way that an interviewer ought to stuff that Blatty says. And I mean, this is the last interview Peter Blatty gave before he died. So it's some heavy stuff.
Wow.
He talks about what's wrong with The Exorcist 2, and it's not what you'd expect.
I just would assume you say that man, these people were on bad drugs talking about or doing that movie.
What he said was like the problem with it was that the guy that directed it was a Protestant Christian and not either a Catholic or an atheist, because he says to do uh, an exorcism movie, you either have to be an atheist or a Catholic, or else you're not going to do it well. And obviously, I don't think that's true because I love the Exorcism of Emily Rose, which I think is a fantastic exorcism movie, directed by Scott Derrickson, who was a Presbyterian. Um, so I mean, yeah, I mean that's not necessarily the problem, but it's funny that he talks about that on the thing. Often old Catholics get all set in their ways and stuff like that. So, but I don't know. He was a really interesting figure, and they talk about a lot of really cool stuff on that interview.
Yeah, that's just like a Blu-ray in general that like is definitely on my like must purchase list. Like I have like I got on eBay. I think I like put most of them on like the watch list that I have made. Like I would buy from Amazon, but the thing about Amazon is that I gotta get Prime, and Prime costs money that I don't have. And also, I bought Phantasm 2 and another movie, and the total cost for that was like $10. Guess how much I ended up paying by the end of the order?
What's that?
Like 30. I pay like $30 to get that to my house after getting just a $10 pricing. So I have no freaking clue what happened, but I dropped a lot of freaking money. I'm like, dude, I gotta get Prime because this is freaking. They were just taxing me for this, taxing me for that. I'm like, goodness.
Yeah, it's that shipping fee. You're being punished for not being a Prime member. That's what it is.
Yeah, true.
I mean, I'm not a Prime member, but I haven't ordered from Amazon in a while. My brother has a Prime account, and sometimes I just kind of leech off of him. Same with my brother-in-law, actually. Sarah's brother is just like, yeah, you can log into our into my account. I don't care.
That's me with Hulu and Netflix.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm leeching Netflix off of. Definitely leeching my parents' Netflix, but it's my Vudu account that I'm watching right now. So
You got that.
yeah, I got Vudu, man. Vudu is a gift from God. It's wonderful.
Voodoo is great.
But yeah, anything else you want to talk about, man?
I don't really know, man. I think pretty much got everything out the box. You know, everything's been talked about. Really, in this live stream, we went like from talking about horror films to wrestling to Italian horror films to underrated, overrated stuff. Like, goodness. But y'all know how live streams are. We like to just talk about whatever's on our mind. That's what I love about live streaming is like it's just unfiltered, it's uncensored, it's raw, it's real. It's what we could discuss and have a conversation about. And regardless, man, as long as it's fun and as long as we're having fun, that's all that really matters, man. But, you know, I don't know. I mean, Steve, you got anything else you want to really add?
Not a whole lot, man. I wish
Any
I'd
last words on
I wish
sorry.
I wish I'd been around for the Italian horror conversation just because I don't know enough about it, and I know John knows more than I do.
Yeah. Talked a lot about Fulci, Bava, Argento, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've been enjoying my Suspiria soundtrack lately.
I think he mentioned something about that too. I think he mentioned something about Suspiria. I can't remember, but I want to see some more Fulci. The only Fulci movie that I've seen is Zombie, and I love that movie. That's a great, fantastic movie. But I want to see stuff like Suspiria. I want to see House by the Cemetery. I want to see City of the Living Dead, The Beyond, stuff like that, man. That stuff's really great. I've also seen a movie called Demons, which is a really good. I think it's Italian, maybe.
Yeah, that's Italian.
That's a really good one.
I think that's Michele Soavi, and
That's
Suspiria.
a good movie.
Suspiria, though, that's Argento. But yeah, I definitely recommend City of the Living Dead, and I'd even say
And Bay of Blood. I want to see that too.
Here's another Fulci one that it's at least interesting. Don't buy it. Maybe just see if you can watch it somewhere. Because I bought it and I don't like it enough to watch it all that often, but it's okay, and it's okay for like a visual and like audio experience. Is The Black Cat. So that's relatively good.
I've heard of that movie.
Yeah,
I heard it was pretty interesting.
Yeah. So
I'll look into those movies. Yeah. Well, you guys, we've been talking for a little bit of a while here. I believe this is like a 3-hour or 4-hour broadcast. So, last Pharaoh, you stuck through like 3 hours, I think. So, thank you so much for watching. You are freaking amazing. And also, shout out to Brian, John's friend, for watching. And give a shout out to John real quick. John Grande is a really cool friend of mine. Really great channel. Go and check out his channel as well as Don Belleville for their podcast they did. I love those podcasts. And I also want to say thanks to my friend Steve for letting me or for joining the stream and letting us have kind of a really cool conversation. And it's always fun to have you guys on, man. I just want to say thanks to Steve. Go check out his channel. Check out the new channel, which they are going to be doing a lot of really awesome stuff on. Really big fan of their stuff. So if you guys want to see some really awesome in-depth movie-related topics and stuff like that, go check out Steve's new channel, SNS Movie Review. I believe is what it's. Go check out SNS Movie Review. I have a link in the description below to that. And once again, thanks, Steve, for joining the stream. It's been an awesome time, as always.
All right. Thank you, man. It's been great.
Well, anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys had fun staying up late with us. And hopefully you guys have a lot of coffee tomorrow morning because I'm going to need it. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching the broadcast. I am the Explorer of War here, Horrorboy 465, a.k.a. Nate Murphy. Thanks for watching. And Steve, thanks for being a part of the stream.
Thanks, brother. Rock on.
See y'all later. Peace. Explorer 4 out.